So I'm not going to waste too much time here. For our first guest, has made a mark in Twitch not only starting in January of this year and building one of the strongest communities I've ever seen, Deviant Nation. Not to mention is the most supportive person that I've ever been able to meet on Twitch so far. If you could please help me in welcoming Chad the Deviant. Chad, how's it going, buddy?
What's going on? Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to have you here. So I have a bunch of questions for you. This is actually the first time you and I have been able to talk like face to face, but I think it felt like we've already talked for a while because I caught you up in your stream about what, probably less than a week ago now, and I feel like just from you and I talking, it's we already know each other a little bit,
Hell yeah, man. I'm feeling the vibes, the vibage.
right? um, so the as far as the as far as that, I have a couple questions for you. If you do need to go, let me know. There's no hard feelings stuff like that. I know you're a busy guy and got things to do. So if there's any time and you're like, you know what, I gotta bounce, just let me know and we'll wrap it up and we'll get you out of here if you need to go. All right.
Gotcha.
Alrighty.
I
Um,
got plenty of time.
Sounds good. Oh, let's go. I'll take that time for the best I can have it if possible and use it wisely. Um, So I guess my first question to you, just more than anything, it's a very basic one, is what made you start streaming? Because I think um, every streamer has their different reasons, stuff like that. And also, should add too is if there's any questions today that I ask you and you're like, "Oh, dude, this guy's putting me right to the wall. What is he asking me? There's some deep questions in here. Feel free to ask me. I'm open to answer any of these questions too. This is open conversation. Like I kind of said on my TikToks and stuff like that, is I'm here to make friends and kind of. Learn how people are and kind of how makes people tick. So it's not just a whole all like what's it called is I don't want to put you on the wall and you feel like you're backed into a wall and you can't ask any questions too. Feel free to ask me any questions back or just any questions that you have about me, even if it's not related to the same one. So yeah, my first
Sounds
question
good to
is
me.
what made you stream?
So, um, I'm actually glad you're asking me this question because I feel like this is the first time I'll be able to give the somewhat moderately long version. So back in 2017, I actually made an attempt at being a content creator. I've wanted to be a content creator since I was like 14, 15 years old. Started out on, funnily enough, like Smosh on YouTube. I was fucking obsessed. Remember listening to the damn Transformers raps and all the Pokemon videos and shit.
Oh yeah.
And it was cool, man. It was like a new place for fucking nerds, you know? We could nerd out, talk about fucking, anime, and it started to become cool. They were getting millions of fucking views and, blown up, and I thought that was awesome. And so back in 2017, I spent like little over $2,000. I got the cameras, the lights, the mics, the backdrops. I set up a whole YouTube, started getting my friends involved, and I was going to hit the town. I was going to hit the ground running. But life did its thing. And funnily enough, right after buying my first home, the one that I'm in now, I had a baby. And I ended up having to sell all that stuff for bills. And after a tumultuous, a difficult year and a half, just this previous Christmas, my fiance, she got me a little desk. She got me a funny little like Office Depot computer chair and a new TV, a little like 24-inch TV. And so I remember one day I was in the middle of playing Warzone, and it was one of those days. I'm not anything special in Warzone before anybody thinks I am, but
It's alright, I'm not either. I feel that.
I was in the middle of playing Warzone, and I was having a good day, man. I was killing it. I was dropping. I think I was sniping or something. I was like, you know what? Instead of hitting record on all these shots, why wouldn't I just stream? Because I used to stream a little bit from my Xbox. And so I ended up going in the garage. I pulled an old webcam out of the garage. It's like a C615 Logitech camera. I had like this crappy $25 Amazon microphone that I bought for Queen Deviant. She's my fiance.
Yeah.
A couple years back. And it took one night, man, and I was fucking hooked. It just felt amazing. Something clicked. And it's been nothing but uphill from there, luckily enough.
Yeah, like I've seen your kind of build and your come to, I think, and it's quite inspiring for people who like are kind of maybe smaller like myself or someone like that who wants to get started but just doesn't know how. And I think just do it. It's kind of what I've seen with how you've kind of approached it, and but not like just do it in an unorganized manner. Not to say like that, but I think as far as you've done it is kind of inspiring because not only that is like you're going to be my friend and we're going together and we're going to do this and have fun together. And I think especially with checking out your Discord, I don't have a link, so if someone from your Discord, I know there's a couple of people in your Discord that are in here, so if someone can link a Discord link for your Discord, that'd be awesome.
Donovan,
Uh,
I see you in here, my mod.
exactly. There is, I think there's so many people that would benefit from a community like that, and I think that's part of kind of in a sense what I want to do in a sense is have somewhere where people can kind of a safe space to come and talk and hang out with friends. uh
Exactly.
Donovan, if you send me a private message, I will post in the stream. I realized links are blocked, I'm so sorry. um the what's it called, the but yeah, so I think as far as that, that's awesome. For as far as this how you began streaming, and it's, am I right? Has it only been about 3 months? Is that correct?
So just under 3 months.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
Um, Okay, so let's go. So I got a couple other questions here. I'm gonna try not to jump into like the crazy ones right off the bat here because I want to drag it out here and make it into the kind of thing
Some
here.
momentum.
But I
I got you.
exactly what's it called. My next question for you though, I think mostly is related to, thank you to, I don't, where was the, oh my goodness, I'm hearing noises here, but I can't figure out where it's come from the alerts here. So thank you to whoever just followed there. Um, is how happy are you right now? Like, what is your happiness right now, and what makes you happy?
Um, I got the the stream, man. The stream and the people. I get messages all the time. I'll put it this way, as I'm sure, unfortunately, you will find out if you plan on taking this. Which it looks like you're doing a fantastic job so far, in my opinion.
Thank you.
If you're going to be hitting the ground running, you're going to learn real quick. And I'm relatively small. I am a small streamer still, but there are so many ups and downs, and the crashes can be, for lack of a better word, they can be pretty devastating. They could feel really, really demotivating. And it can lead to burnout a lot of the times. And it's
For sure.
just crazy to me. It's like the nights, and I don't tell them, obviously, as a streamer, you're not supposed to come
Of
out and
course.
let your viewers and your community know, hey, I'm having a fucking bad time. I don't feel like really doing this today or whatever. But it's funny because I don't know how they do it, but it's like at least 2-3 people in the community. Every time I'm having one of those nights, it's like they feel it and they send me a message, a DM on Discord, and it's always so fucking positive. It's like,
It almost
I
change your
look
whole
forward
mood,
to your
right?
streams every day. Yes, man. Yes, they
Right.
keep me motivated. I tell them all the time, as much as they look forward to me, I look forward to them every single night. I go through like stream withdrawal now on my 2 days off.
Yeah.
It just feels weird.
Yeah. Like fair
But yeah,
enough.
right
I
now I'd say that's making me happiest.
Fair enough, of course. Um, Donovan, I am setting it up right now. I saw it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I just got to figure out a way to do it without interrupting the stream and Discord there. As far as that, I totally kind of get that into a sense. So about 2 months ago, or about a month ago or so, I was streaming just games and stuff like that, and it wasn't clicking. And I think it was because I wasn't really having fun with it, to be honest with you. Like it wasn't something that I enjoyed doing. It was just kind of one of those things that was like, oh well, everyone else is doing it. I'll just kind of roll with the punches and kind of do it the same. And of course, it didn't work because it's not what I enjoyed, and it wasn't fulfilling for me in any way. Um, so I took a hard look at it, and I was like, okay, like what's something that I can do that interests me and also gets people kind of interested in my stream and how kind of I do things. And that's why I rolled kind of around this idea of, let's take people that I find really interesting and ask them questions that they probably haven't been asked before. And So far, it's worked. I'm not saying it's a perfect formula, but it's definitely a start of how of something that I think might work fairly well. And I definitely hope it
I
does.
think so
Because
too.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. So it's something that I really hope sticks and people like too, because it's definitely working to fulfill me in a sense. Um,
That's the word I was looking for. Hell yeah, man. You're gonna kill. Listen, if I can interject for a moment, said
of
this is
course.
back and forth. I'm gonna take one of my tokens here to interject. Brent, when you jumped in, I often make jokes about it in my house. That I don't know how I ended up being considered one of my community members. Her name is Sarah. She coined me a comfort streamer, and
I can
you
see
know,
that.
I remember I remember sitting on that after stream and getting in a lot of conversations with my fiance. I was like, I don't know how that happened. That wasn't the goal. I didn't consider myself one of those kinds of people. And anyway, the point I'm getting at is that when I feed off of that positivity, that is really what is keeping me going. And when you jumped in that stream that night, and it was perfect timing too, Brent. I got to throw it out there. That was perfect timing. We were just transitioning off of a great night, and I like to catch up with the community afterwards. So we usually sit in like a just chatting stream for a little bit, and then you come throwing all the positivity, keeping chat super super
I'm
interested. They
glad.
loved it. They love seeing that. So I think the model, even from like a marketing standpoint, not to get all like analytic-y or
Yeah,
but from a marketing standpoint, your model like works and it feels organic and authentic and genuine,
I
and you're
appreciate
also really good at editing. i'm
it. Thank
i'm
you.
jealous. I don't know how you
Thank you.
do it, man. And also want to throw it out there, both of our moms are in chat. Hello,
I know, right?
Mama Bren and my mom.
What's your mom's name? Give a shout out to your mom. What's your mom's name?
um I will
Or
say
what she
M.
want? What, M? Sounds
We'll
good. That's
say
all good. Let's
M.
go. That's all we need.
Hey
That's all
M.
good. So my mom is Lisa. Let's go in the chat too.
Hi
That's I
Lisa.
know. Right? I was watching that too. I was like that's pretty funny. What's it called? So just a little about me too is I'm actually self-taught in editing, so I appreciate it. Thank you for noticing. It's something that I is definitely
100%, man. I'm super jealous.
was a passion, and I'm definitely interested in showing you if you have any interest in or questions stuff like that. It's something that it's a passion, so it's not so much the um, it's not so much a task for me in a sense. Like I'm not even joking. Last night, that video that I posted on TikTok, the one about the anxiety and the kind of the feeling overwhelmed and loud noises in my head, was that's what I was feeling last night. Like, and I think and trying to take that from like a what I'm really feeling and bringing that to so someone else can understand it and feel it. And I showed it to my girlfriend this morning, and she's like, "I didn't like that. That was annoying." And I was like, "Yeah, like, that's what it's supposed to make you feel. Like, it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable." And if I can make someone else, even one person, kind of feel that way and kind of understand that I'm feeling kind of like that, that's done. You know what I mean? So. I did go to film school for a bit. Kind of lost the passion in it for a bit, and that's about 6 years ago now. And so I'm glad I'm kind of finding that back. But it's definitely been
There
a
you go, man.
journey to kind of get back to that. Yeah, it's something that I bought
Oh
a
yeah, that's
license
awesome.
for some film products. So yeah, it's definitely been a journey to kind of get back to that. Um, let's see what question we're gonna ask here next. If any of you guys are interested in joining this chat or being part of like one of the next guests on here, we do have time later. I'm not gonna give a timeline because I don't wanna cap this at a certain time because I think if me and Chad can keep going for a while, I'd be definitely happy to do so. But type exclamation chat. I can't promise when that'll be, but I will try and make time for you today before the end of the stream. For sure. So type exclamation chat into the chat for that. Also, I've set up the Discord now. It should work if you type exclamation guest. It should have a link now to his Discord. If that doesn't work, I'll continue working on it as we're going here. So I think my next question to you if you were given three things, and I think materialistic things, because I think we can get really into obviously like what feelings and stuff like that and all that stuff, but I think three, um, what is it called? Three materialistic things that make you happy. What would those three things be?
Ooh. This is what I'm talking about. Before I answer this question, everybody in chat or anybody that was there when Bren jumped in, he is so good at these. I don't know where he compiles his lists from, but they're always good questions. So three things.
I appreciate it.
So materialistic like objects.
Correct.
That bring me joy. I don't have it yet, but a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing PC would just be fucking amazing. I would end up glued to that thing for weeks.
Right?
Listen, and it's funny, I put in the comment, I put a 2014 Harley Davidson Fat Bob.
I saw that.
That's the backup. It's a 2019 Harley Davidson Fat Bob. I would just die. I have no clue how to ride it at all whatsoever. And it's probably not a good idea to learn how to ride it. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'll figure it out. I'll learn. And what is always a good question. Brand with these questions. Might sound kind of corny, but my Xbox, my Elite V2 controller, but specifically for gaming. There's something, I was not growing up, but starting gaming. You always see these big esports guys, and they all got like this crazy fucking equipment, and you're telling yourself, oh, that's why they're good. They can afford it. They're sponsored. They could get the dopest shit. Then you get a controller and you realize that's not it. You just kind of suck. But honestly, that thing is awesome, and I saved up for a long time to get that controller. Even though the left joystick broke after 3 months, but we won't talk about that.
Xbox, get this man a new controller. Hey, I'm telling you, once I got my first pair of gaming headsets, I was a better gamer. So there is that. Oh, yeah. I will tell you that. Oh, yeah. So I see both sides. Like there's no controller in the world that's making me ever better, but there's been headsets. But yeah, I feel that. I think it's obviously, and I figured that'd be a hard one for you to answer, considering you are, from what I've kind of seen from you, you're not materialistic at all. You're very kind of, the feelings and the connections is what kind of gets you. So I figured that would be kind of an interesting one, because you're not really materialistic, and I've really noticed that from how you talk to people and how you interact with others.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
For sure.
You're an observant fellow.
I try to be. I think it's.
Hats off.
I really. Thank you. It's good. I find people very interesting. I've never done any sort of psychology or anything like that. I've never taken any classes of it, but I think how I try and view people in a different thing and try and think outside the box and kind of think, like, what are they going through? Like, what's their shoes? And being able to kind of do it in the last couple of years is definitely brought me definitely a better insight on kind of the world and how people work, in a sense. And I think this is definitely helping me on this journey that I'm going through right now. It's getting to meet people like you and other guests that I plan to have on here in the next couple of days is kind of the people that I find the most interesting and very, like, just either creative, smart, brilliant, quirky, even, like, just something like all these kind of words that I can think of and kind of blending them into one. And some of them have all of them, but I think it's just kind of having those people to tell me, like, what their story and what they're thinking is definitely interesting. And yeah, so I think, kind of leading to my next question, as a force, are we humans creative or destructive?
The two options in this question are creative or destructive.
Correct.
Oh, I want to say from a humanitarian standpoint, um, I do somehow consider myself a humanitarian of sorts. It's usually just the individuals that I usually end up having some problems with, but um, that's like a perfect balance in my opinion, but not maybe not in the way that you think. I think most people are destructive, but I think those that do end up taking that other route, that kind of optimistic, creative route, which I assume is kind of what you mean by the question.
Yeah,
Um,
it could be. It's open to interpretation. So
oh, okay. So I think of it like, that optimistic, creative route. The ones that do take that route, they do much bigger things than those that are out with that destructive mindset could ever possibly accomplish. So I think it is quite a perfect balance, and depending on the day, week, month, or year, kind of leans one side or the other like a constant, I don't know, fight.
yeah, yeah. So I agree with that. Um, I think we can choose to kind of be either, in a sense. I think we, as a force, I feel like we probably lean a little bit more to destructive, in a sense.
Agreed.
There's definitely the people that a are creative and bettering the world, and the people that are will probably eventually take us to space and stuff and things like that, and
Ooh,
other and others things like that, if that's what you want to believe in, or for wherever the next spot is in that evolving as a society. Maybe that isn't space, but I think that kind of part is creative. And then the people who are just bettering the world in some sense or form. Yeah, like and not getting too political, but I think people going into certain things like that is kind of what I would consider as creative. But I think unfortunately, I think we lean a little bit too destructive in a sense. Not to say that we don't have a lot of underlying
agreed.
creativity in there.
I do want to point out, I think a lot of it is due to, for lack of a better term, we'll call it laziness, at least in my experience. I think a lot of the shit that we're doing kind of messing things up. The things we talk about during college seminars and big debates. It's all like the culmination of just a lot of people not doing the best thing, but because it's on such a large scale, you end up getting something that we could, coin destructive.
Yeah. See the chats of agreeing with us here for the most part. um, yeah, so I think that's yeah okay.
That was a
Um,
damn good question, man.
Thank you. Uh, here's another one too, and it's kind of it might be an easy one. It might also be a hard one for you. I don't know because I this is one of the ones that I pondered with a little bit. Just so you know, like all these questions I've thought about and how I would answer because like I said I'm open to answer any question if you throw it back at me. So I'm not ready on everything, but there's definitely parts of it um, that I've thought about at least, or try to give you some sort of answer. But are you more afraid of failure or success, and why?
Damn. That one actually does seem definitely more afraid of failure. Albeit with a few current
Thank you for the follow.
disadvantages. Success is 100% always on my mind. And I'd like to think you could ask anybody within like my close circle. Um, when I do go for something, I go for broke. I go, go big or go home, 100%. And often the caveat to that being, they will often say, you got so good at it, and then you got bored because I tend to put so much, I don't know, so much work, so much energy into something. Um, and I often kind of overlean and get burnt out, which is why, even with streaming, I did decide, I was streaming 7 days a week, and I decided to take the 2 days, and it helps a
It's hard,
ton.
man.
But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely more scared of failure. That's the worst to me. That is bottom of the barrel. What about you? That's a damn good question. What about you?
So like I said, this is one that I've struggled with a little bit because I think. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback from my phone here.
Are you good?
I was like, I'm hearing voices. It's not mine. What's it called? Or yours. The I think is I never thought of being afraid of success before, and I think that when I saw this question, I was like, am I? Because I think it's one of those things you hear like I'm scared to fail. I'm scared to fail. It's a very societal kind of cliche in a sense, and it's always something we are always worried to fail. Like I think a majority of people will say they're afraid to fail. Um, so I think I almost fall along with that, but I think I'm also in a sense afraid to succeed, but I think it also underlies with failure. So I think overall failure, because I think, so for instance, today, me starting this stream, I slept about maybe 4 hours last night, and
Damn.
I think it was about a little bit of excitement and also living with anxiety. I think I struggled with. I know this is going to be a great idea, but I just hope that people see it the way I do. And I think
Yes.
me getting over my point with someone who has anxiety, who has ADHD, and other mental health kind of issues is it's something that I'm passionate about, and I'm very, very deeply, maybe connected would be the word with it. Um, but being able to kind of articulate that to someone so that they can understand and they can see my vision and take something from it too, not just me kind of being like, listen to me, and actually getting them to kind of learn and maybe get something that they might not known of before is what I'm worried about. So I think as far as success, I guess you could say that's failure of success, or sorry, afraid of success. But I think it still leans more into failure. So I think being afraid of failure would probably be more for me than anything, because I think that that kind of part would relate together in a sense.
That's good. And if I can give you a little unwelcomed feedback, I think you hit a very
Always.
important note, and I think it's a huge worry for any content creator, right? You might have it all. You might have the finances to back the equipment you need. You might have the know-how for marketing. You might have the correct connections for the things you are weak at, such as design or logistics, analytics, things of that nature. But I think what people worry most about in content creation, or at least should worry the most about, in my opinion, is making the content palatable, especially when you're deep diving into something as challenging and as complex and as heavy as mental health. And if it's, to get back to what I said, unwelcome feedback, I think you do a fantastic job in what you're doing. And that's why I think I clicked immediately with you.
Oh, totally.
Even that video, I saw that video that you posted on TikTok, and that was great. I really, really cannot wait to see you blow up and see
Thank you.
people react to that and be able to connect with that, even if it's only a TikTok video that they're gonna, only feel for 10 seconds, and whether
Scroll.
they do it exactly scroll.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's like so hard to do, truly so difficult to do, and it's something that I'm super glad you brought that up. That's something I struggle with, is making things palatable to the general population, especially, you have somebody say they scroll across that video and they just got done having a week of something you and I know nothing about. Maybe they're
Of course.
biologists or marine biologists, and their whole world is fish and submarines. I don't know what they get into, but in order to make it so that while they're scrolling across that video, they can find something in that video to connect to in a broader sense, be it either to themselves or somebody that they know, I think is really, really, really important. And I think you do a damn good job at it.
Thank you. And just kind of throwing it back at you a little bit, and what's cool, but I think how you're approaching things is something that I like, and I think like it. That's so like such a small little detail I like. But I think looking at how you interact with your peeps, I've seen you call them, is so connection. Like I think there's so many creators and people who interact with their fan base, I guess you could call it. But I don't see you seeing it as a fan base. I seeing you as seeing it as like a family, and I think that's what's for me setting you apart from someone who I might not watch because you put in the time to go in and check it, and I'm sure it takes a bit of a toll on your mental health. And I hope you do take time for yourself and your family and take care of you guys because that's obviously the most important. And I know you got a kid, so obviously that's very important too.
100%.
But I think is making sure that is keeping that kind of connection and keeping that closeness is something that I really really admire about you, and I think if as long as you maintain it, I'm sure you will because I see the kind of heart that's in you. Is definitely it's not just this is not just a kind of look at me, I'm talking to my friend, I'm talking to my family type of thing. It's actually real, it's sincere. And like looking at the conversations you've had in your Discord, by the way, exclamation guest if you want to get into that Discord of his, is definitely those interesting conversations. And I can see why people, like you said, call you, was it a safe streamer? Is that what you called it?
Comfort streamer.
Comfort streamer. Yeah, but I
Comfort
think
streamer.
and I agree because I think the when I came into your chat, we never met each other. We've never done anything, and you took me in like I was one of your buddies that we from high school or something like that. Like that we talked a while back, and you're like, hey, sort of thing, like, oh, look at Brett, everyone say hi to Brett, and blah blah, and welcome to the Deviant Nation and all this, and then sincerely answer my questions, and that's why I wanted to have you on as a guest today because I think the way you interacted with me, being someone that you knew me for all of like 5 seconds on a website, and I'm pretty sure you and I live across the continent from each other,
I think
and
so.
yeah, and so I think like that connection was it, and it sparked so fast, and yes, I'm sure we have a lot of similarities that I'm sure we'll figure out in the next few weeks and
Yeah,
months,
sure.
and go on, and I'm even if it's not on stream, is picking your brain even more. So I think this is just a perfect way to kind of get to know you, and a perfect kind of all put it like connection to everything, of how the sorry, I'm laughing at Donovan's comment in there. The
I just read that too. In
um
Donovan.
right, let's go as and kind of seeing how you talk to your people is very very inspiring, and I think if as long as you keep up with that, and I'm sure you will, I cannot wait to see how high the sky's the limit for you. I think, and that's sincere, and that's not
Thank
me
you.
just kind of blowing blowing smoke up your ass. That's me being as sincere as possible.
No,
All
I
right,
get that 100%. Thank you so much for saying that.
for sure. If you guys are interested in joining the chat, plus exclamation mark chat, we will start there is a way to start like kind of the queue and all that stuff too. We will keep on asking questions here for a while, so I don't know when the next kind of person that'll be on will be. I'm not planning on rushing this, but I will try my best to get everyone in here if possible. So yeah, so if anyone's interested, please hit that chat button there, and we'll get you in here eventually. I promise. Um, it's more or less to just so you guys know to answer any questions that you have, kind of like the questions that I'm talking to with Chad. I This whole point of this is to kind of connect with you and other people that I find interesting, and I think if you've given me the time and chance to kind of hang out with me and listen to the chat and listen to hang out with Chad as well, I think in my opinion, you're worth my time to hang out with and talk to as well. So I'd love to hear from you guys and talk to you guys if you're interested. So exclamation mark chat into the chat, and it will give you all the directions on how to get a part of the stream and how to kind of get on here as a Discord call. If you don't want to talk on video camera, that's okay. I'm totally okay with a voice call too. We have that all set up as well. So yeah, so I think going on to the next question here. Also, sorry, before I forget, exclamation mark guest. You'll get the links that I have, the two links that I have right now for Chad. I will later in the stream to put any other links if Chad wants me to later. So that you guys can do it throughout the stream. His thing will be exclamation mark guest one later in the stream. I'll change that later, so that he has all of his links down there for later for you guys. Thank you to whoever followed. I missed a couple follows there. I'm sorry, but thank you so much for your follow. I appreciate everyone who has taken the time and hit me with the follow here. Um, let's go to the next question, why don't we?
For sure, let's do it.
Sounds good. My next one is, and I think it's more for people kind of to get to know you a little bit, as well as me. But I think kind of for something that I was kind of pondering. I think this might be interesting for kind of both of us. Um, do you have any interesting hobbies or sorry secret hobbies or skills that most people might not know about you?
Ooh. So hobbies. Y'all might not think, but it's totally random. I love fishing. Absolutely the best fucking pastime in real life outside of, the chaos that is your normal day to day. And if I do say so myself, I'm pretty fucking good at it. Growing up, it was, it was a pastime that I shared with my father. And not to get like too deep out of nowhere, but he passed away when I was 11, and so ever since then, that what a lot of people look as just like this silly little activity, catching fish or whatever, or grabbing some grub. It's really, really, really important to me. So it's really like two purposes. You get out there, you get to relax, sit on the lake. Everything is quiet. Nobody's asking you to do anything. Nobody's expecting anything from you. It's you in the lake.
Right.
You in the lake. Even if you're out there, you don't catch a single fucking thing. It's amazing, and kind of lets me, I don't know, find that a weird kind of connection, I guess. Skills. I, funnily enough, and it's going to sound really boring, I was in sales for 2 years, and
Yeah.
I fucking killed it. I was amazing at both sales and like kind of managerial stuff. I know that's not super exciting, but it's important. It's important to me because I feel like it actually. I learned a lot of skills there in that job that I take in day-to-day life, especially when it comes to streaming, because there is a marketing aspect and analytics and things of that nature. When I used to live in New York, I even started like my own marketing company. Been in marketing for like 4.5 years, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But the last one, which is a little obscure, and I think my fiance's still in here. What's going on, Riggy? I think my fiance's still in here, and she'll tell anybody. I am really, really good at reading people. It's very, very, very obscure, but it actually goes off base. I thought of it earlier when you mentioned that you had never been in psychology classes, because I was actually going to ask you if you have been in psychology classes. Your vernacular and the way you kind of design your content around things like that video you made about mental health. I think it hits and it's very accurate. And for some reason, listen to me, I'm going to throw it out there. I am almost positive, and this is not to make light of something that is serious, but I am almost positive I am undiagnosed autistic. And that is without joke. I do have like some communication problems and kind of in showing emotion. It's all very weird, and it's been a huge challenge for me indirectly in the background. I never really realized it until I started getting older, and I get plenty of people that are like, hey, why do you say it like that, or why do you act this way, while, or why is your body language off? And I've always struggled with that, but the pro side of that is it really lets me kind of be like a third party, unconnected viewer or patron of a conversation.
Yeah.
And it lets me really fucking read people to a creepy, ominous degree of accuracy in my experience. But that's a big reason why I'm even here in the first place. I love helping people. I do not have a psychology degree. I am not a therapist, but to the best ability that I can, where it does not cause, some liability issues. I love being there to help people. I think I have a knack for sharing third-party advice or third-party information that I can give you for a struggle you are currently having um, that might just get the cogs turning in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And so like there's two there's just so you know, if I'm starting to look down, I'm starting to write things down because I'm realizing I'm missing points that you're hitting, and then I that I want to touch on, and then I realized way later and it's just too late. And so I am writing things down, so I'm sorry if I'm kind of looking down. It's just because I'm writing down what you're saying and certain
Oh
things.
no, you're good.
um
I
but
talk a lot.
no, it's all good. Me too, dude. I think so. Just kind of 2 points. So the first point is the sales. I think to be a salesperson, you got to understand people. And I'm not meaning that in kind of the malicious kind of taking advantage. I mean, obviously, yes, there's people that do use that to kind of take that sense. But I think there's also is the side of it where if you can understand people, you're gonna kill it because you can kind of get how people and how people
Yes.
tick and kind of see like, okay, like pulling those heartstrings here but don't pull them there, like, and those kind of certain things in a sense. And obviously yes, people definitely use it for bad senses and stuff like that, and getting people into pyramid schemes and things like that that are terrible. But I think on the other side is too is making a living or doing something that's positive with that kind of sales experience is killer. Like there's nothing bad about it. You may as use it to your advantage, man. And I can definitely see that and kind of rolling that into back to what you said about autistic. And I think and I got to be careful what I say because I agree with you. There's I don't want to ever.
Yeah, it's
Neither of
very
us, I
touchy.
assume, are
Yeah, very
doctors.
sensitive.
um,
Yeah, yeah, right.
and so but I will say is I think some of the most amazing minds are autistic, and I do have obviously some diagnosed, some I diagnosed in family and friends, and I think the way that people with autism can think is so amazing because they see the world a different way than I can see, and that's brilliant to me because I think there's certain things that I never would have thought of, but maybe someone will say something like, oh, you do it like this or you do it like that, that clicks in my head, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I never
Yep.
thought of the world that way.
It's those cogs.
and
Yeah.
and that's the thing is, and so like obviously I with ADHD, my brain works a different way than your average person would, and I can hyper focus on silly things, but I can use that to
Mm.
my advantage in certain cases, and using that kind of superpower, I guess I could say it as, has definitely helped me. So and if you do it like I think unless it becomes like a thing where you feel like you're struggling, obviously yes, then go and see a doctor and get that help and the support that you need. But if you're feeling okay and you feel like you've kind of got through it and you're kind of working through it for the most part, I'm never going to tell you what to do, but what's you know, but I think continue on your journey and use that as kind of superpower to your advantage, and use it to kind of connect and see the world in a different way that many of us probably don't see.
Appreciate that. Brent, may I interject one more time, ask you a
Of
question real
course.
quick?
Of course.
You brought something to my attention. So my fiance, she actually struggles with the same thing. She was just finally diagnosed, I want to say 6 months ago,
Yep.
with ADD. And
Okay.
what I didn't know growing up, I was very what's the word? Ignorant to the struggles of people with ADD. You know, growing up, there's kind of like this stigma. It's just, oh, you're overactive and hyper, and you just can't pay attention, right? And that is so not the full scope of the way brains work with
Of
ADD.
course.
And so my fiance is actually interested in beginning the stream journey. And so I'd love to ask you, in your opinion, what's some advice you could offer either her or anybody that is struggling with ADD or not struggling? You know, we don't know the person. Maybe they love it. But with ADD that you feel you specifically helps or maybe kind of hinders what you're trying to do with content creation. So I can, you know, kind of pass on that information to my fiance.
For sure. Um, it's a loaded question because I think I had never thought of it in a streaming way because, like I said, I'm really new to this. This is probably my first stream back, but I think as far as, and so just keep in mind too, I want to just to clarify too, is I have ADHD. It sounds like you said your wife has ADD.
Mhm.
I don't know the specifics and stuff like that. I believe mine is what's qualified as hyperactive. So kind of I'm like that dog that gets the kind of the zoomies that like runs around the house. That's kind of like, that's in a sense, that's the best way I can describe it for me, is that I get really like kind of in these like bouts, if I'm not taking my medication, and kind of get into that kind of sense of where my girlfriend, my family are like, okay, sit down, like it's gonna be okay. Which what's it called, like, and it's funny because
Right.
when I'm taking my medication, it's not the it's a really different kind of docile thing, and it's still, even with medication, you can see it in my speech. I'm a very fast speaker, and I think just before the stream, actually, I had a old coworker message me, and they've seen the last two videos that promoting this stream, and talking about the first one where I was very slow talking and calm and talking to the camera, and they're like, that doesn't sound like you. Like, that was, it sounded like a different person was doing that voiceover, because this is how I talk. I'm really fast talker, and people who are second language English struggle with listening to me, and it's something that I've had to learn, that I have to slow down and look for that clarification, and kind of those body language cues of I'm getting it or I'm not getting it. Um, and but I also can use it to my advantage. For example, is that anxiety TikTok is, and that's where it came up. As she said, that anxiety TikTok, or that anxiety video, it totally reminded me of you. Like, that kind of fast pace like thing. You almost didn't have to edit it, sort of thing, which is, I kind of thought was kind of funny. But I think, as far as for content creation and things to kind of look for your wife to kind of look at, when she does start streaming. My mom put it in the chat here, is consistency is key, and structure, and like a stability. When I've been kind of my most like anxious or depressed or things like that, on a regular basis, is when I don't have any sort of structure or any sort of routine. And I've noticed, like, about 2 years ago, and almost 2 years ago now, I moved out of my parents' place and moved out with my girlfriend. And for the first little bit, I struggled, and I couldn't figure out why, because I was happy and everything was good, and I was independent, I was living on my own, but something didn't click, and I realized I didn't have that routine that I got from when I was living with my parents, or my mom, per se, in this exact thing. And that's where I struggled, is I didn't have that routine, and so having to figure that out, and learn, and how I'm going to consistently routine it. So the biggest thing that's probably helped me, and maybe you want to pass this on to your wife, because, or anyone else that's out there, is lists. I have a notepad with all the things that I need to do in my day, and I carry one for work, I carry one for personal life. They sometimes mix, and that's okay. But I think the list has been the biggest thing that's helped me kind of slow things down, and get things kind of thought out before I just do it, or and I'm able to kind of check them off, and that makes me feel successful in a way, and that's kind of been the way I do it. But yeah, I
Okay.
don't know if that
That is
answers your
very,
question
very, very
completely.
valid advice. Hell yeah.
Awesome. So just kind of going back to it again too, for everyone that's in chat. If you guys are interested in joining the conversation, we do have a queue set up. If you type exclamation mark chat, it will show you how to get into the chat. We we will be talking. I will try and talk to everyone if you guys are interested. Um, but I, like I said, I also don't want to cut off Chad in the time that I'm very lucky to have with him. Um, but if you get on there, we'll try my best to get you on there at some point today. Um, and yeah, so let's go. And also too, if you want to check out any of Chad's stuff too, press exclamation mark guest, and all of his information and his links and stuff like that will pop up on the stream. You can follow him. You can um, join his Discord. I'm just laughing. Is Beck the Dev? Is that your wife?
That is my fiance. Yeah.
Okay, that's Queen Deviant.
Yes, sir. The
That's cool.
one, the
Okay,
only.
I was laughing at the
By the way,
message
hi,
there.
Booty.
Um, but yeah, and so going into the next question, and then I think we'll take a short little break here, and then we'll go into some more questions here, because I'm getting a little short on water. But I still want to ask you this question here before we hit that kind of break here. What is something that you're proud of yourself?
Wow, that is crazy. So, give you a little insight into how my brain just worked there. Um, As all you know, I'm a generally new father. I have a 18-month-old baby, and that is crazy because often I don't run into a lot of people that want to ask me that kind of question. And the first fucking thing that came to mind is my daughter. Man, she is beautiful and developing so well, and even with, which I assume Brandon's going to get me to talk about later, even amongst or in amidst all of the current struggles that my fiance and I have, that baby still wakes up with a smile on her face and is she wants for nothing. She wants for nothing, and I feel very proud that even in what I consider to be my worst, um, I can still offer her the best. And so that feels fucking great. That feels great.
Yeah, and I think there's obviously I don't know personally. My girlfriend would probably be saying, and I don't know if she's watching this or not, but is that she'd love a child, especially someday very soon.
Mhm.
But then there's me, I'm like, let's just wait. Um, but let's go. But I think from what I've heard from talking with friends and one of my really closest buddies, Kyle, and I don't know if he's in here because he did text me before our stream saying that he's got to get some car troubles fixed. But he said to me, he said the biggest joy in his life is having children, and my mom would say the exact same because I know she's in here too. But I think from as like a hearing, like it's one thing hearing it from your mom because I mean don't they have to?
No.
And with the exactly. And I think like as
Yeah.
much as I know she means it and it's meant that totally like loving and it's truthful and stuff like that. It obviously means a little bit more hearing it from friends and stuff like that. And I think also males who are about the same age as me too is hearing them kind of say like being a dad is one of the most like prideful things ever is definitely one of those things it's something that I definitely will eventually want to experience. Not yet, but let's go. But definitely something that I will eventually be very very excited
Brandon, you know what they
to see.
say?
And
Technically, you're never ready. I'll tell you if look, one of the greatest pieces of advice I ever got from my uncle, because I was really freaking out when we found out she was pregnant. As I feel is pretty normal, right? Dad feelings, and I was
yeah,
freaking out. And he was like, "Listen, I'm sorry to tell you, buddy, but if you're waiting for you to mentally say, okay, now I'm ready for a kid, it'll never happen." Especially coincidentally, generally speaking, for men, it's such a scary like
totally.
switch or change, and I'm still learning that the expectations that I'd set for myself, especially growing up, with the troubles, I'll call it the troubles I grew up with. You set really high expectations. Children of, I don't often use these terms, but children of trauma, it affects them in a lot of ways as they grow up. And one of those ways is you often end up, when the subject of being a parent, a new parent, comes up, you're setting really unrealistically high expectations for both yourself, your partner, and your child. And I'm a year and a half in, and I'm still learning. Let's dial it back. Let's relax. I'm definitely thinking this way because I'm overleaning. I'm going too much, and like, let's break that down. But anyway, the whole point of me saying that is I'm telling you, you'd be surprised. Brandon is gonna no jinx. I wish you the best, and I hope you do great planning. But even the best planners in the world, man, it just hits you. It's gonna come out of nowhere. Could come out of nowhere.
And I don't know if you've ever seen him or watched anything from him, but Casey Neistat is someone who I watch quite religiously, and his things on and like kind of how he's interacted with his children and so because he's got a child who he had when he was I think 15 or 16. He was really young when he had him, and then now has these two daughters that are like toddler aged and really young, and he said it's such a
Wow.
interesting experience for him where he has this teenager or man now not even a teenager, I think he's like in his 20s now, that is his son, and it's his. It's you know what I mean. Like, and then he's also got these two daughters who are like children, and obviously need the support and stuff like that. And kind of finding that balance of how to be a dad for both, and kind of that different kind of scenario is definitely been interesting. It's something that it's definitely kind of fascinating in a way, and that's someone who I definitely look up to, is how he articulates what he's feeling onto screen. And there's so many, I can go on for hours about Casey and how his storytelling is just amazing and beautiful. But yeah, so I think we will take a little break. I think we're going to take like a minute break. We're right at the hour mark. Are you still good to stay for a little bit longer here?
Absolutely, I'm having a great time.
Awesome. Me too. Let's go. So we're gonna take a quick break. I'm literally just gonna go fill up my water bottle. So we're gonna hit the break screen for a few minutes here. But please stay tuned. We're gonna ask some more deep questions. We're gonna get a little bit deeper on that list. Like I said, we're starting off with the easy ones first, and we're gonna get a little bit lower and harder, deeper down.
I'm excited.
And what's it called? And so stay tuned for that. And we'll keep on pushing. So thank you all. What's it called? I know I don't know if there was any followers in that little bit there, so I don't know. But if you did follow, I appreciate it. If you in the chat, I appreciate it. If you follow any of either me or Chad's Discords, I appreciate it so much. This man deserves so much support. What's it called? So hit him with it. !guest. And you'll get the two links that I put in there. And yeah, and I just noticed too is that I didn't put a chat box on this screen, so I'm gonna try and do that on the break too. So I might be a few seconds just to set up the chat box and have that all set up for you guys. So if you guys just stay tuned, we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you so much. All right, we are back. I hope everything's good and everything's back here. I hope you guys are all hanging out and chilling. Baba, no, we are not. We are actually just taking a little break here because we've been going for about an hour, but we're continuing on. We're asking some questions. We're getting a little bit deeper. If you guys just joined, if you do ! Guest, this is Chad. You will see all of his links come up. You can follow his Discord. Definitely an interesting fellow, as we found over the last hour, and you're about to find out even more about him too. So if you guys are interested too in kind of getting in this conversation and being a part of this kind of journey and connections with others that I'm going through, please type !chat into the chat, and it will kind of it'll give you kind of how to join this chat and how to set it all up so you guys can be a part of this as well. So with that too, oops, sorry, that's my chair, squeaky. There should be a chat box at the bottom of the screen now too, so you guys should be able to see your things. I hope that I added that properly. I don't know if it's totally great. If it's not, let me know in the chat box, and I'll definitely fix it on the next little break here. Yeah, so I have we're going deeper down the list, and we're gonna ask some more deeper questions. And I think going into it a little bit, and you've touched on it a bit in both the questions I've asked you on your stream, and then a little bit today. But I think I think I know a little bit of the answer too, with seeing how the chat's been going. But are you close to your parents, and why?
So right off jump, unfortunately, when I was 11 years old, I lost my father in a car accident. And thank you. However, before that, yes, we were incredibly close. That was my guy right there. And my mom, now we have been for the past about year and a half, maybe 2 years, been working on our relationship quite a bit, and we are, I'd say, pretty darn close now. Had plenty of deep conversations about a lot of the stuff that happened in the past, and we're both putting it behind us, and we're fucking full speed ahead. And yeah, I mean, she's like one of my biggest supporters here, both on Twitch, but really anything I could call her, and if nothing else, she'll at least listen, give me some advice.
So important.
Oh yeah.
I think too, is with kind of what you said there, is it's so important to have those people that are in your corner, and and obviously too is I don't know your story, and I think it's that borderline too personal that I'm not going to bug you too much for. But I think as far as connections and how, and obviously everyone's got their own family stuff going on, and that's I think is how deep it goes is obviously situational to everyone. But I think as far as that is if you can make that connection work, it's always great too. But there's also that kind of place of if it is something that it's not going to work and it's not healthy for either one party or both parties, then obviously it's maybe not something that. But I'm glad you figured that out with your mom. I think from what I've seen, she sounds like an amazing woman. So that's awesome though, and that's good because I think like I said, you got to have those supporters in your corner.
For sure. Hell yeah, appreciate it. And listen, I'll let you know beforehand for the
sure.
Any future questions. If there's anything that you do ask, and I, whether it makes me uncomfortable or don't feel like talking about it, I'll just let you know, man. I am otherwise I am an open book.
Sounds good.
I am an open book, especially
like I said,
if something. No, go ahead.
And I'm totally okay with that. That's this format of how this is very, very open, and so I know there's certain questions that will definitely strike chords with certain people, and obviously I plan to have hopefully a lot of guests on here, and I'd love to have more guests on here, and obviously there's gonna be people that are gonna be maybe more open than you, maybe less open than you, and it's really up to whoever that guest is to decide, and I'm not gonna. If you guys say that's it, we're done. Like, you know what I mean? We'll go on to the next question. If you say if that one's not good, we'll go on to the next one. But I think it's all about you. I'm never gonna push and be like, what do you mean? Come on, man! Like it's consent.
Nah, I get those back from you at all whatsoever. Consent, 100%.
I saw one hoodies from Deviant Nation. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, he is that beautiful son of a bitch.
What's called it, and I think it is in a sense sad, and I think there's some definitely sad things in it. There was a couple things that I put on here, and I was like, damn, like I don't want this to get too negative, but I think there's also certain things that we as humans don't talk about enough, and I think it's important, and I also, that's why I'm bringing this to Twitch, is because I want to see this kind of side of it where you might not see people that are uncomfortable or talking about things that you wouldn't hear people normally talking about. I wanted to kind of bring it on I'm speaking to a friend about a situation that I would only talk with my friends with, and yes, there's certain places that might get too personal, and they're also and that's fine. Like that's okay if that line is drawn, fine, all good, no problem at all. We can have that conversation off stream if that's what you'd like, and that's totally okay with me. Where it literally is one-on-one, but I think is getting out those questions that I'm sure people that are part of your kind of fan base or your family, I guess would be a better way of putting it, would probably have like kind of interested in knowing the answers of you, as well as kind of also maybe hopefully seeing about me a little bit too, which would be great. And I think that kind of back and forth is definitely is ideal to how kind of society goes on. So I think leading into my next question, what social stigma does society need to just get over?
Ooh, man, I've got this one for days. Before I answer this, if I may, and I hope I'm not disrupting, the etiquette. I am a guest here, but the person that just joined chat, SXRXIX, that is Sarah, and that is the person that I was telling you about earlier. That
awesome.
She coined me the comfort streamer. We rated somebody who is super wholesome and super positive, and on stream, the streamer was like, "Oh, hey, is this the dude that Sarah was telling me about, the other comfort streamer?" And I was like, "What? Comfort streamer?" But anyways, what is going on, Sarah?
Welcome, Sarah.
Social stigma. I am there. There are some people that are not going to like this, possibly not going to like this question. But I am super, super adamant about, especially, not only did I grow up the oldest of 7 children, but I am a man, and I've lived the male experience, as I'm sure you can relate to. And I'm also a new dad. And one thing that I noticed after having a kid is there is a lot of support um, for so many different demographics, however you would contextualize that word. Whole bunch of support, be it on something as small as Facebook or something as large as, a local funded actual IRL support group. But one thing where I feel personally, and again, this is where a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I'm passionate about it. I'm going to go full speed ahead. Where it is lacking is with fathers and men in general. So many stigmas around men having to kind of hold it in, be the support, be the rock, constantly be cold and unrelenting, and the backbone for family units and things of that nature. And of course, there are always exceptions, and anybody in here, there are always exceptions. But at least that's how I grew up. I grew up with a very traditionalist family, and those were the responsibilities I was taught were mine. And I think a majority of the male population can agree. And so I'm super passionate about showing support to people that come to me with those problems. Both because I can relate. It's organic. I've been there. I've experienced so much of it. But B, I have run into many experiences in my life, especially after having a kid. And, there are ups and downs to parenthood. And on the downs, I was beginning to notice there's not a lot of empathy or sympathy where I felt it should have been, because I'm the father, I'm the man. I'm supposed to, again, be unrelenting and strong, and just persevere with a look of strength on my face, and that is just not reality. There are so many lows, there are so many downs, and it could get rough and real. And so yeah, I don't often bring that into the stream, but
Of course.
kind of like in my outside life, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups. There's this group called Tribe of Dads, and it's literally just a bunch of dads just up there sharing pictures of their little ones and asking advice and things of that nature. But yeah, that'd definitely be something for me.
Yeah, that's a really really good one. And I think yes, obviously there's going to be people who disagree, but I think the number of suicides that you see with males is scary, and that should
Yep.
you got to look at that. And if that number is so as high as it is, something's not right there. Like it means that we're really not. Let's go. Yeah, we're not taking that time to kind of think, and that's a half of our population. Like, why is it not okay for us to kind of not be okay in certain senses? And obviously, yes, there is certain situations where I don't know if man up's the word, but I think is kind of being that kind of force is obviously needed, but I think it's not needed in every situation. And I think there is also time where it needs to be a more of a format, and I don't know if that tribe of dad is that kind of like a thing where people can kind of let out their feelings in kind of sense. Is that kind of the form, or is it more just kind of like
100%.
supporting?
It's,
Okay.
the moderators do a really good job in making sure people can be, just really open while remaining respectful, very open just about dadhood, fatherhood. And, most of it is actually pretty positive. I usually find my way there when, it's just getting kind of rough, or, I'm questioning how to go about something. It's really just a casual group of of dads that are like, oh my God, look what I got my daughter for her birthday. She's loving it. Look at this adorable picture of her
Yeah.
playing with bubbles. It's awesome.
That's good. But I agree. And I think there has to be a better outlet, because I think there's so much of a kind of, you hear, like, you see the movies where the girls call each other's friends crying and stuff like that. You don't see those movies about the guys calling their friends crying. And I think
Nope.
it a lot of our trends obviously start from a Hollywood kind of thing. But I think I like to see this, how TikTok is really kind of changing our world for some strange and weird, but also for some that is also very very like smart and different, and attacks those things that you might not see on on a mainstream kind of media thing. but now we're seeing it because it's the people control it. It's not controlled by corporations, and I hope they stay that way. I hope they don't start leaning towards the corporations
100%.
that some companies have done. But I think is like I've been able to, I've had my eyes open so many times by the TikTok videos, and it's the weirdest thing because people think, oh, TikTok, that's for kids, but it's not. Like if you find yourself liking and commenting and sharing with the things that are related to you rather than just the person's doing the renegade dance, you'll get those kind of things that are more interesting and more powerful thinking. And I came across one, and it was this dude, and I think he had like one or two videos, and it was literally the one video was him just sobbing, and it literally just had like text about basically like everything that was going on in his life. And it was one of those things that like I was thinking that's his outlet, like that's his outlet. And
Yep.
I'm fortunate to have family members and people, and my girlfriend, my mom, and people I can talk to and basically and be like, hey, like this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm struggling with, and even friends too, and they'll kind of have my back. Not everyone has that, and especially as a male, that kind of toughness to be, I have to be the leader and stuff like that, and be the alpha, is in a sense not healthy when it comes down to something like that. Because when it comes to the deciding of, okay, am I going to stay that kind of tough guy, or am I going to take my life type of thing? That should never be an option. It should be to be able to, okay, like I can kind of maybe be a little bit more vulnerable and be like be a person, like, and kind of and have those,
There we
and
go.
show my feelings, and I think that's so important.
Oh yeah, and if I could hit two things off of what you just said there. First of all, as both a social media marketer, very 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 self-employed. By no means am I a professional, but
Yeah, it's okay.
TikTok, in my opinion, to anybody to anybody here in chat, I get that a lot. Where somebody's like, "Oh, hey, like, what are you into? You're talking to me about content creation. Where do you put your content? Where do you put your stuff?" And I tell them every single time I stream on Twitch, and most of my outside of Twitch content is TikTok. And usually I am met with very puzzled faces and the furrowed brows. And they're like, "What do you mean, like that little like dancing music app?" I'm like, that is such a small minority number of pages. TikTok, first of all, their algorithm is the most powerful algorithm currently of any social media
Totally.
platform. 100%. There are people, if you make this is the first place I've ever seen where just
Totally.
making good content is all you need. That's it. Screw hashtags, screw where to put this and how to do, just good content, and you could get your foot in the door, and you could take that somewhere. So that's first. And second, to talk about what you were talking about, that you came across that video, I agree 110%. My fiance and I are TikTok addicts, and we're constantly sharing back and forth these TikTok videos that they have like this air about them that it is so raw and uncensored. And for me personally, is a breath of fresh air to finally have something like that, where I could get on there and, as long as it's inside TOS and you're not making a violent call to action or being an asshole and getting canceled, you will be seen, you will be recognized, and people will feed off that, and you'll grow organically, which is the best way to grow. Best way to grow.
Oh, totally. I think, and I agree with you. I think we've never, at least in our lifetimes, and I would say, is ever seen something that you can so easily connect with new people, and on TikTok, because I think,
Yes.
and that's why I've been using it to kind of push this and drive this kind of journey that I've been going with, and I think there's so many parts of it that I can use in alliance with other things, and whether it may be Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, whatever it may be, I can use my TikTok to kind of bounce off it, because I think For You page has no, there's so many, like, I've watched so many videos on how to like get TikTok and how to push the views, and okay, post at this time and it'll be better, or add this sound and it'll be better, or add this hashtag and it'll be better. Dude, it doesn't seem like any of it works. Like, I don't like it seems random.
In
Sorry.
If it's any consolation, I will definitely say there are trends and patterns that can be observably found in the analytics that you can capitalize on. And I won't get too much into it on stream, but Brendan, personally to you, if you want some help, I would be fucking glad to jump in a Discord call with you and give you like little tips and tricks that like I have found. Not that I'm some super famous TikToker, but I'd like to think I have a pretty solid grip on how the algorithm works. Because your content's fucking amazing. And I think for you personally, the shit that you make, all you need is eyes. If you were a client of mine, you were hiring me for social media marketing, you are like the perfect client because your stuff is you just need eyes. You just need people to see it. I think your content's fucking fantastic. And you are off the bat not pigeonholing yourself, which is very important. A lot of people tend to do that right off the bat, and you are leaving yourself so much room for both growth and options, different topics to get into, different facets or vectors, as I like to call them, in the content creation world.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I said before at the beginning of the stream, I'd never want to get I started and I kind of got myself stuck in this kind of oversaturated niche, and there was nothing that made me different from anyone else on this platform. And I mean, and I felt it. Like I felt the unsatisfaction from not doing the from just kind of doing the same thing, and I didn't have fun with it. Like there was nothing fun about it. I felt even kind of to the point of even depressed of like how I was doing. And you shouldn't feel depressed doing Twitch. It's not even a job for me. This should be fun. Like this should be something that I'm having so much like interest in, and I should be waking up and like sweet. I get to do this and have fun and play video games for stuff like that. And this isn't video games, but this is something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that I like doing. And I appreciate Hoodie and all you guys and stuff like that, and anyone who is in this stream watching and seeing this, and because I think it's you guys understanding my thing, and the TikTok that I posted today was a good example of that. Is I didn't know if people would kind of see what I'm trying to get at here is this human connection, and it seems like from what I've seen so far is the connection and the people that are in here, it feels like people are starting to kind of get it and understand what I'm trying to do here is kind of build that connection with kind of me and then the guests that I have on here, whoever it may be, whether it's someone from the community, whether it's someone like a streamer like yourself, or just some sort of brilliant mind. I would love to just kind of like pick and see how people think, and I think that's it's in that pigeonholing. I love that kind of phrase because I think it is kind of I've gotten the best. I've gotten a really kind of good way to not kind of get stuck, because video games die out. Like it's they get nostalgic, which is great, and you can come back to them. But talking to humans face to face, or video camera to video camera, is never going to really get old. Like it's one of those things that'll be around for a while, and
Oh, yeah.
I think that's very important in that connection with people. But I think as far as that, yeah, like I like that took a turn, but that was great. I love that. What's called in that sense. Just before we kind of go into the next question here, I just want to remind you guys, if you guys put ! guest, you can see Chad's Twitch, and you can also see his Discord. And later in the stream too, when Chad does sadly leave us eventually, I will have him down as !guest1. So if you ever need to find his stuff after Chad does leave us, that will be the thing too. I think I might have to have you on here again too. So this might not be the end of it, because I think we might need to hit some things again. We'll have to do this some other time if I can borrow your time again. But I'm still going to use this time that I get now to definitely benefit. But I think if you guys want to join the chat, !chat is a way you guys can get in this conversation and kind of talk to me as well later. The queue is up, so whenever you guys want to enter in, that's all good. Yeah. So as far as the Yeah, so that's kind of, we'll go into the next question here, and I think we touched on family like just recently, but I think I'm gonna go back to it a little bit again, and this is gonna be a hard one, especially because I know there's family in here too for you. Who's your favorite family member?
Oh, I knew that you were gonna fucking do it to me. Favorite family member. Um, I have no favorites. Uh, I would say, my family. The one thing, you know what they say, count your blessings, right? No matter how hard it gets, you can always find. I swear to God, I mean this. It doesn't matter how low you get, and because trust me, I've been in the lowest of fucking low, man. Um, there is still always, I promise you, this is a guarantee. If you take anything away from me guest featuring on this beautiful man's stream, if you take one thing away, take away the fact that no matter how fucking bad, it doesn't matter what both people around you are saying or what you're telling yourself, there is something you can feel positive about. And one of them for me, something that has helped me when I have, been down and out. And of course, there are people that cannot share, which sucks. But I have always found support in my family. If I call them, it doesn't matter how absurd, how ridiculous. Like even, for example, me calling my grandma who raised me for half my life. I call her. She has no understanding what the fuck Twitch is. She has no clue what I'm talking about. But I hit her on the phone. I'm like, "Oh my God, Nana, I'm doing this thing. I'm fucking live streaming." She's like, "What is that?" "I'm playing video games." And she's like, "I don't get it, but you know what? I'm gonna show up." And she showed up. She's been in my streams maybe 4 or 5 times, and this is like,
That's great.
can you picture like your grandma showing up in your stream, chatting with everybody? It's just, it's amazing. And God, I gotta give credit here to both my fiance and I consider you in Deviant Nation. You guys are my family, and every time I've got an issue, I come out, and y'all are super supportive. Which, if I may make a quick segue into what I was going to talk about, I got a call from he's been my best friend since I was like 13, 14 years old, and he is also coincidentally my moderator, Hobo Duva. You guys saw him in here earlier, and you guys know he is in Deviant Nation. He gives me a phone call today, and he's like, "Hey, man, just out of curiosity, did you get a package?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't order anything." "No, I didn't get any package." And he was like, "Can you check for me?" So I head outside, check my mailbox, check my front porch, nada. And I'm like, "No, I don't have a package." He's like, "Well, we have a problem then." I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, me and she's called the Deviant Nation Sugar Mama. She's another friend I've had since I was very young.
I've seen her in the Discord, yeah.
Yeah. They went halvesies on buying this beautiful piece of technology, a Stream Deck. And unfortunately, Sabrina, probably because of school, she goes to school and she works full time. She must be a very tired woman. She accidentally put the wrong address. So it showed up at somebody else's house, and it was full on chaos before stream because I was trying to figure out how the hell to get this back. I went up there and they weren't home. But long story short, they did give me a call and they were like, "Hey, we've got your package. Come through, pick it up, or we're gonna steal it."
Is this what you were texting me about on Discord earlier? You said that you had a big mishap happen this morning. Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
Yes,
I was
that
so
was
worried because I was like,
big guff.
No kidding. And I was like, "Oh no!" Like I thought you were gonna have to cancel because I was like, I thought some things come up in life. You know what I mean? So like it would be no issue at all. But as soon as you said, I was like, "Oh no!" And then he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to go." I'm like, "Thank God!" But I was like, I was wondering too because I was trying to roll it in here. So thank you for rolling it in there. But until I was wondering, I was like, what was the issue? Like I didn't know if it was too personal or something. But you said you want to share on stream. So I was like, okay, like we'll get to it eventually here at some point. But yeah, no, I'm glad you brought it up because I was wondering. I was like, that's awesome. No, Stream Decks. Yeah, I don't have one myself. I've used my phone in the past. But I also use my phone as kind of a tool to kind of connect and do things around that I can't do on my computer. So like with Discord, I can't use Discord on my computer because I only have the single thing, and I don't want to open up all my chats and everyone to see the chat, especially when I'm running a live stream with you on it and stuff like that. So I've been using like the one Donovan sent me the Discord link. I use that, relate it to my Facebook, put it on Facebook, saved it for my Facebook, and then put it into Stream Elements, and then all in. Now it's all in there. But I think with that is I need to figure out some better ways than trying to find some back of house kind of way to figure out things. So I think that's awesome though. Yeah, no, especially with I'm reading Donovan's thing there. That would stress me out to the max if I sent something to someone and it was
especially
a wrong
when I
address.
told him I went up there. I was just gonna say, especially when I went up there and I told him I knocked on the door and they didn't answer. There was 2 cars in the driveway, but they didn't fucking answer the door. He was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna steal it, dude."
Was it a neighbor?
Yeah, it was a neighbor. It was a neighbor. So my address, I'm obviously not going to dox myself, but there is a 0 in the middle, and then it's 2 of the same numbers on either side. She used the wrong number on the either side, and so it showed up like 10 houses down from me. Oh, I was so anxious. I was nervous. Oh
no. Well, that's awesome though. Like, props to these guys for getting everything set up for you and helping you out there. Because it's for sure. That's awesome though. By the way, too, I apparently I do this to you a lot. I almost start the fights, and whenever I get you on here, I have the I have your what's it called? I had the whole the toilet paper fight too, which will hopefully be on TikTok soon.
Oh my god.
You had just so you know.
Get out of here, Don.
What's it called? You've had your you're probably the only person so far that's said under. So I need to get a couple more unders before I can post that. But yeah, I also have a TikTok video that I found that explains a little more why people are adamant to over than under.
I gotta see it.
If you have any interest in hearing what's it called. But I think yeah, toilet paper. But I think with with that it's a Donovan, you're freaking out in the chat. What's it called? I guess, and it's funny because it's one of those things. Is like once you start like thinking about it, and then that's all of a sudden you get you start getting it like on your Google feeds and stuff like that. It's kind of like the same thing, but with TikTok. I had a thing, and it was talking about this guy, and he was talking like, oh, he's like, why is your toilet paper on backwards? And it was like under. And the guy's like, what do you mean it's on backwards? And the guy's like, well, he's like, you're supposed to have it like over or something. And the guy's like, what? Like, and he's like, didn't you know that that's I guess toilet paper companies came up with ads that basically promoted people doing it on properly, and they put even designs on the toilet paper so that people put it on that way. The reason why they don't want you to put it on backwards is because you use less. So actually, you're being economically smart and also better for the environment to do that. However, I will not be changing the way I do it because now because I am adamant in my ways and I am over gang. But what's it called? But I respect your choice.
That's crazy. I never thought about that. The designs. That's those smart motherfuckers. That is a smart
right
marketing plan. Like even from a sales point of fun tip for everybody. Do you know, Brendan, what the most successful marketing scheme ever was? Can you take a guess?
I've heard it, so I've seen it before, but it's not clicking in my brain right now. It's just not hitting that part of the brain. I want to say something like Coca-Cola or something, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Lobster.
Okay.
Lobster. Lobsters were known as the cockroaches of the sea. Nobody would fucking eat them. They fed them to like prisoners to just barely to keep them alive. It was garbage food. And I don't know off the top of my head what company was given this job, but they ended up getting a bunch of tourists, and they were like, "Oh God, like what are we gonna do? What are we gonna offer these tourists to keep them coming back? Like something weird, unique." And they said, lobster. They've never heard of lobster where they're from. Maybe they'll think it's like delicious. So they started marketing it as like this delectable, expensive, delicious meat. And it worked. And it's funny because at first it was canned in like this gelatinous garbage. And they would spend 4 or 5 times the amount of money as they normally would because it was a lobster. And it just hit. And now it is how we know it now. and it's fucking delicious.
It's so funny. Okay, so yeah, I as soon as you said lobster, it clicked in my head because yeah, and I remember hearing the story, and I don't know where I thought. I think it might have been a YouTube thing. I don't know, but I think it definitely it was one of those things that was like it was one of those. It's not like a high classy thing because people made it that way. Someone Sarah's in the chat say that thought it was shrimp, but I don't remember recall 100%, but I remember it was the I remember it was like obviously some sort of seafood that people were like kind of like just, and then yeah, they brought it to someone, they didn't know anything about it, and then they marketed it like, hey, like look at this sort of this new food that we brought in, it's very high quality, and then it killed it. It
And
would
they
make
killed it.
the most sense. It would make the most sense for lobster because lobster is kind of that bigger kind of like item,
It's bougie.
and it also and also too is lobster does way more for or like sells way higher price than you would like a shrimp would too, so that would make the
Hmm.
most sense of what would do better. um my next question too, and going off of the kind of the kind of the little set that we had up there before about the about things that we know and weird facts that we know, and going back to that toilet paper thing, that's which is kind of funny that we've gotten back to that again, because that was probably the funniest thing, and I think some of your Deviant Nations said the same thing. It's probably the thing they'll probably remember the most about that chat that night, which is kind of sad because there were so many good conversations we had that night,
Yeah,
but
there was.
what's up? But it's one of the funny ones and one of the more memorable ones at least. Um, the sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I was at here. Um, so this is changing it up a little bit. And I don't need to know the experience, but I'm more interested in seeing, and kind of just getting the answer for it. So don't feel like you have to elaborate. Um, but if you could forget a traumatic event, would you?
No. That is a very, very powerful question. That is a very good question. No, I don't think I would.
I lean the same way is why I'm asking, because I think the as much as obviously I don't wish trauma on anyone, especially people that I love or in my kind
100%.
of people, and exactly what Sarah just said in chat, it's made me who I am today, and it's made me
Exactly.
whether it's stronger or even weaker or maybe more open, because of it, and it's not something that I want to I hope happens again, or I hope happens to someone else. But I think it's something that is important. Might not be the best word, but it's something that I think is built who I am, and pushed me to be um, how I can improve myself and how I can sh- maybe not show others, but kind of um, educate others on how maybe I would handle things differently or something, things like that. And I think that's huge, and things like that. So I think we say that kind of on the same way.
100%.
I don't want to speak for you,
And
but
no, I think you hit every good point. I think you hit every good point perfectly. But to elaborate just a little bit, I want to preface this by saying, and this is totally random, anybody in here who has dealt with anything you would coin traumatic, even if you're not into the type of music, even if you just got to look up the lyrics, there is a track called Hater by Korn, Korn, for those of you that don't know, which is insane if there's anybody in here that doesn't know that. But um, look that up. That song resonates with me very much because I think now, if you were to say, for example, you were to reformulate the question and you were to ask if you could go back personally in time and change a course of events to lead to a more positive outcome, I would have said yes, 110%. But the trauma itself, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, that even in when, if there's 99 things that are bad, there is one that is fucking good. It doesn't matter how bad it gets. I mean that. There's always something you could focus on that keeps you afloat. And I think, believe it or not, even though it sounds backwards, I think trauma does that. And I think, for example, we'll use the example of people experiencing, be it an immediate family or extended family or a friend or whatever, addiction. It allows you to connect with other people that have dealt with that same thing, whether it was you or somebody else, that usually, in my experience at least, leads to a very fruitful, positive connection with somebody, friendship, relationship with somebody. And it could potentially change the course of your life for the better based on that connection. That's, of course, a very small example. It could even be something as small as you went to go get your ears pierced and it hurt a little too much. something even as small as that. But it allows for
I have a story for you of something like that.
this deep conversation. I'd love to hear it. This deep conversation and these connections, because that's what friendships are, really, that, or at least the ones that count. You know what I mean? Look at the first thing we do when we meet somebody. What is the first thing we do? Is we find the things we both either experience or have tastes in, or just similarities between the people, and that is very, very, very telling or foreboding of where that relationship is going to go. And I think trauma is a great teller of that. It builds you. It really does, no matter how bad or serious. And this isn't to make light of anybody that is in here that is, dealt with even something I haven't experienced or that was very, very, very traumatic. But I still firmly stand by, no matter what it was, you can build something positive out of it. The biggest inventions, the most powerful platforms are often built from something negative, or at least trying to solve something, you know what I mean? And a lot of those solutions are derived from the things you pick up in these traumas, your childhood, pre-adulthood.
For sure. We are going to hit a break here pretty quick here, just for a little bit. I wanted to tell you that my story though, for my my little bit of trauma too for the thing. And it's not nothing crazy, and so let's go. So that's why I'm open to sharing it. But when was it? About 5 or 6 years ago now, I decided that I would look good with a nose ring, and I think I did. I think I looked pretty good with it. However, my body and mostly my nose didn't agree with that idea. And what I didn't really know is that the piercer, and obviously he didn't know this either, had accidentally hit an artery in my nose.
I hate it for you. That sucks.
So I didn't realize this, but I've had tattoos, I've had ears pierced. I've never really had too much issues with piercings before. I was kind of like, okay, like maybe it's just because it's a different spot. It's really sensitive. It's around the nose. So again, he's like, oh, you're gonna tear up in one eye, so that, and he's like, that'll be it. And he's like, you'll probably leak a little bit, but that'll be it. It went on for like 2 weeks of just nonstop. Every time it bounced, it would like start leaking, so yeah, and it was just totally gross. And,
oh my god!
I'll try not to give too many details, but what's it called? And then one night I would just, and I almost passed out in the chair too, which the guy's like, oh, it's fairly normal. This is why we have suckers and stuff like that. And I was thinking, I'm not a little bitch, but like, what's it called? But I took the sucker, and he's like, dude, that's what they're for. Like they're so that people don't pass out and stuff like that. So okay, so I took it and everything, and then I went and then like 2 weeks went by and it's still leaking. And so I'm searching up online, and like nowhere saying that it should be still leaking blood. And I was like, okay, something's weird about this. And so I was like, and everywhere was kind of staying like, okay, it's probably a good idea to take it out. Probably a good idea to take it out. If you have something like this and it is leaking blood after 2 weeks, if you can, see a doctor or some sort of medical professional. 100%. If you can. Don't do what I did. Just to phrase before this happens. So I had a friend who had a nose piercing that was over at my house, and I was like, you know what? I think it's just best we just take it out, because I don't think this is getting safe anymore. It's becoming an issue, and my nose was in immense pain, and I looked like a Rudolph because my nose was so red from all the time it was like bleeding and the blood loss. And so we ended up taking it out, and I'm not kidding you. It was like a faucet spurting out of my nose. It
God,
was
man.
so gross. It was one of those things that I will never forget. And my poor friend, I don't remember. I think my girlfriend was there at the time, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But the poor people. My mom is who's in the chat who remembers it too. That night was traumatic for a lot of people. It's something that I at least can look back and laugh at now. But it was one of those things that was just like it was terrible. So I ended up having it did not stop. I actually had to call an ambulance. I could not. I literally sat there for about 20 minutes. Hold. I'm so sorry. What's it called?
Oh my
For the
God.
for traumatizing the people in chat. I literally had to hold my nose with like a clamp of my fingers for about 20 minutes as the ambulance came, and I ended up having to go into the hospital too. And there was other details that I'll spare you guys because that's the funny part of the conversation. I don't want to give you guys put you more on you guys, but yeah, no, that was one of those. When you said that ear piercing, I was like, oh my goodness, do I have a story?
That sucks too. My fiance has been trying to get me to pierce my damn nose for so long, and that was a nip it in the bud. Will not happen. No way.
I'm so sorry,
No
Queen
fucking
Deviant.
way.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is I actually should add too is my when the paramedics came in, they actually they said they got a call for a 20 some year old with a nosebleed, and they thought for sure it was some sort of drug addiction or some sort of drug issue. They have
Oh
never
man.
seen anything like that. They were so shocked when they arrived, and they're like, a nose piercing. So yeah. But yeah, so we are going to take a little break. It will be a very quick one. It'll probably be shorter than the last one. Chad, are you still good to stay on for a little bit longer here, my friend?
Absolutely.
Alrighty, we're gonna start asking some more funny questions and more interesting ones. We'll probably hit a couple of the deeper questions, but we're gonna hit some more funnier, interesting ones on the next little thing when we come back. So stay tuned. It'll probably be about a minute. I think I might have missed a follower in there, so I appreciate whoever followed. If you guys want to see any of the links, or if you use this time right now because while we're doing this. Put exclamation mark guest to get all the links for Chad and all of his things and join his Discord. I didn't know I could have died. What's it called? The the using all your linked all of his stuff. If you need any of my links, I think all my socials, if you do exclamation mark in any of the type of socials, so TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, they'll all be linked in there. Also on the bottom of the screen too. If you also have the what's it called? If you guys put exclamation mark chat. I would love to get you guys in for the to talk to me later. I appreciate the follow. I can't see who that is because it's too small. I think it. Yeah, I can't see it. Is it? I think it actually is Queen Deviant herself that actually just followed me there. So thank
There
you.
we go.
But what's it called? So if you exclamation mark TikTok, you'll get the TikTok. For Chad's TikTok, I actually didn't link it. I'm sorry. I believe it's just
Same
Chad,
across
Chad
the
the
board
Deviant,
on
correct?
every social media
Yeah, okay.
platform. Chad the Deviant. Yep.
Yes. So I'd love to hear from you guys, and if we can in the future here. So if you do exclamation mark chat, and then you join the Discord, and then exclamation mark join, you'll be put on a queue to join our streamline. And I'd love to kind of have you guys on here and talk to you guys as well in the future here. So we're hitting a quick break. Stay tuned. We're gonna have some more funny questions. We're gonna have Chad coming back for a little bit here. We'll talk soon. Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. We are back. We are back. Thank you for everyone who stayed. If you're just joining us or just came on while we were on the break there, what's it called? If you put exclamation mark chat in our chat, you will be what's it called? It'll kind of show you the steps on how to join the chat and kind of join that queue. I'd love to talk to you guys, and if you have questions for me, I definitely have questions for you guys. If you were interested in answering some, whether it be with camera on, camera off. I'd love to hear them. Even if it's 10 minutes of your time or if it's an hour of your time, I'd love to hear from you guys talking. We will be doing that after we talk to Chad here. I don't know when that'll end, but we'll definitely make time for anyone that has any interest in talking and hanging out. So and then also too is also if you haven't yet, check Chad's all of his stuff. If you do exclamation mark guest, you will get all of his links and stuff like that too. and see how awesome this guy is, and his Discord, and how awesome his Discord and his family is there. But yeah, definitely check him out. It's someone I definitely recommend. I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't. But yeah, no, for sure. Check out all of Chad's stuff here. So we're gonna lean off the two hard hitting things. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna drop one more bomb on you, and then we'll go into other more fun things here. So we'll get a little more.
Shoot.
We'll get a little more more light before we end off here for the segment here. But I still wanna ask this one, because this is one that I thought about lots, even before I even thought of it being a question for others. I thought of it kind of for myself personally, so I kind of want to see how you think of it. And it's a little bit dark and deep, and I'm sorry. But if you died tonight, what would you regret not doing?
Love it. Ooh. Damn. If I were to die tonight, what is something I wouldn't regret, that I would regret not doing?
Correct.
I got it. Listen, but I want to preface this by saying it's probably not going to be the answer you guys are expecting, because it doesn't sound that heavy to you guys, but I will elaborate. If I die without having stepped foot on an airplane and been able to fly in an airplane somewhere, I have failed. I am so petrified of flying. Just the thought is so obscure to me. And it's weird because I get into conversations with people about this all the time. And, you know, they can kind of understand, you know, we're sort of used to maybe people having some flying anxiety, right? Like a healthy level of, you know, I'm a little scared. No, man, it is not like that. I am petrified. And they'll go down the list. They'll go, you know, it's the safest form of flying. I know it. They'll say, oh, you know, I've done it 100 times. You just get up there. Maybe take a, what is it? Benadryl. Take a Benadryl. You'll be okay. I know it. I'm not scared of how high it is. I'm not scared of confined spaces. I don't know what it is. What I do know, because I've looked it up, is you cannot bring a parachute onto an airplane. And that's that's very disheartening, because I think maybe that'd help knowing what I think it is. So I guess we are going to.
I mean, on certain flights you can.
Really?
Yeah, the ones that you jump out of the plane with.
Yeah, skydiving. You pay me enough money. No fucking way. No way. It's funny, isn't that? Wasn't that your answer underneath the video you made on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way.
Well, I just wanted to see.
There's no way.
It's one of those things. So I've heard people say it's the most serene and the most calm they've ever been in their life is once you leave and exit the aircraft. The amount of relaxation that hits your body, because the anticipation is worse than anything, from what I've heard. It's the actually letting go and
You mean in skydiving?
Yeah, like if you ask
Dude,
most people that have skydiving,
fucking masochists. There's no way. There's no way.
See, okay, so what's it called? How we put a number on it? If I put this as a TikTok, and we get enough likes, what would it take for me, after COVID is all done and everything like that, because obviously we got to do it safe, for me to go to you and we go skydiving together?
You said how many what?
How many likes?
How
many likes?
Oh my god, dude.
Oh, billion. Yeah, you can't do billion.
It's gonna be it's gonna be incredibly unrealistic. There's no way, man. That is like the pinnacle of the insanity of human beings. We just live for chaos. I don't understand what about that is fun. It's all scary. It's all fucking scary. To give you the legitimate, maybe not too crazy, like 500,000. 500,000, and I'll consider possibly, under the right circumstances, maybe going skydiving. I'd have to know the dude. We're sitting down for coffee. I want to know how long he's flown, where his mother was born, and then maybe. But that's crazy. And it's funny to like elaborate a little. I did end up. I remember this happened like 6-7 years ago, and it blew my mind. I was getting in a conversation with my aunt and my uncle, and they're very avid flyers. They don't mind. They go to Myrtle Beach. They live in New York. They go to Myrtle Beach like every year. They hit up random places. They went in that helicopter. There's this helicopter that's made of glass, and you could fucking see through fucking crazy to me. But we got in a conversation. They were trying to figure out why I'm so scared of it. And it is the last thing you would think. I am just a control freak. And in an airplane, you have to give up all of your control. You are in the hands of the person behind the steering wheel. And it's terrifying to me. It is absolutely terrifying. You can't just say, "Oh, excuse me, sir. I'm feeling a little nervous. I might throw up. Can we stop the plane real quick so I could get off?" They don't even stop for dead people. Okay, you still gotta wait for a couple fucking hours to get off the plane. That shit is nuts. That shit. But yes,
if you're coming here to get confidence for flying, this is not the stream to come to.
This is not the place.
Right, that's good. No. So you did mark your thing. You said 500K. Is that what I heard?
Oh my God, 500K.
Okay.
500K.
What's it called? Deviant Nation. You know what to do. If there's anyone that's if there's any community or team that's going to do that, it will be Deviant Nation.
If I see any of you fuckers like that video, I'm coming for you. That is terrifying.
But I think just to kind of touch on some things that you said here, just because I wrote them down as you said, because there were so many hilarious things that we can kind of put on here too. And just so you know, Bubba is a TikToker as well. So he's someone who lives in the same community as I do, and someone who I'm probably pretty sure he's probably got 500K himself. He knows how to work the system pretty well, and he's someone who could probably get it done. What's it called? And yes, I did see Bradley's thing too.
Set me up.
What's it called?
Set me up.
You're right. I probably will go first, and that's okay. It's I'm not fronting anything too. Skydiving is something that scares the shit out of me. Like it is. What's it called? It is one of those things that's definitely on the bucket list. Oh, totally. Yeah. No. It's not something that I'm pushing to, but it's something that I know I need to do for me to get it done. Because if I die and I haven't skydove, it's something that I will regret. It's something that I want to see. I want to make sure that I've done it, and it's something that I know not many people are like want to do with me, but I think if I can drag you with me, great. But I think so a couple things I want to touch on. One, you said about flying. So I don't know if have you ever heard of the YouTuber Eric?
I have not.
Okay, so Eric, he's one of those. He's a YouTuber. I don't know if that does him enough justice, but he made a challenge for himself to grow over to 1 million subscribers in 1 year in 2020. So basically, he said like the year that was the most unproductive for most, he wanted to make his most productive. It was a very inspiring journey. There's a whole bunch of videos on it too. One of his videos that he did just recently in this year was him flying on top of a plane. And it was this company that flew him out, and basically he stood on top of the plane and was able to do it. And because he has a very petrifying fear of flying, and it was something that I thought was it was interesting. I don't think it's something I would do, but it was something that was very interesting to me as someone I've definitely had maybe not a fear of flying. I think that's kind of gone over for the most part, but I think I have got a fear of the unknown. And I think that's where my fear of skydiving comes from, is I don't know what happens. I've seen enough videos to kind of have an understanding and see what it is, but it's not enough for me. I gotta experience it. And I think, as Bradley said above too, is I struggle with, especially, and I'm sure this comes from kind of my ADHD, is living in the moment, and I'm always thinking about what's next. And when I find myself doing that, and it's funny enough, is when I'm in the moment, which is now talking to people. And I think that's probably why I love communicating with people when I'm playing video games. And I assume probably things that make me uncomfortable, like that. So I think as far as thank you for the follow, whoever that was. So I just wanted to touch on that Iraq thing, but I think also too is you said about there was some place where if you were to walk, and there was a there's glass throughout, so you can see it, and you're like, nope, not gonna happen. Actually, one of the people in the stream, I don't know if she's still here. One of my old friends, Kate, worked at in a tourist spot, and the one of their main attractions is called the Skywalk, and it is basically this long bridge. I don't know the details on it, so I'm
know.
sorry because
Yep,
I don't.
I've seen the videos.
It's called, and it is basically this. It's just basically this glass thing, and man, do your knees get weak on that thing because it's like that there's glass probably thicker than my whole body length, but man, there's probably structures that have less metal in that, but because I can see it, my brain is tweaking out like, oh my god.
Yep.
And so,
Yep.
you know what's weird though is
you've got to like brain hack. You've got to
right?
like figure out ways to. Did you went on the bridge?
Oh yeah.
That is crazy.
I had to.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. You made it across the whole way?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think also too is one of the things too is I don't think there was any like end to end. I think you could have just cut in half and stuff like that. Like there was parts of it and stuff like that. Okay. It wasn't like across anything, but you could there was no up but down. Like it was you're going straight down. And I think with the Skywalk, I felt most comfortable sitting down on it. Obviously, some people like crawl against it, but I like literally sat down. There's a picture of me sitting down there and just chilling like this with like my back on like the glass like barricade and stuff like that. And it was one of those things I was like, I felt like I could breathe for a second, and it was one of those weird things because like someone with anxiety, ADHD, who's always go 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 go. It was one of those things that's why I think something like skydiving would be good for me. Something that would kind of like hit the reset because of that. I'm laughing at Bradley's thing here. Is those videos where like you jump the glass and the interactive glass and it cracks on you or something like that. No thanks.
Shark.
I'm good.
And you know, there's a crazy one too. I don't know if you've ever seen it or anybody in chat, but there's something kind of like the Sky Bridge, same like model or idea, kind of hitting on that fear of like heights. There's a building. It's either in New York City or I want to say it's in California, and one of those big, Vegas or Angeles, right? Where you go to the top of this building and you can lean up against a window, and the window will slant down, and you end up kind of at like I don't know what degree angle that would be, and you're slanted over, I don't know, 45, fucking 45-story high, maybe even higher, overlooking the entire city. That is crazy.
Oh yeah, I think that's like Vegas or like one of the big buildings, like like your like Empire State type buildings, or like a Space Needle type building, like one of those big ones. Yeah. I want to say it's Space Needle, but I don't think so, because I don't think Space Needle has any attractions aside from like the walking around, because I've been there before. I've been fortunate to be able to go around there. And what's called? So God, that's.
If I could point out something real quick. I am notoriously, a little random piece of information, so fucking bad at geography. I don't know where anything is ever. Is Las Vegas? Where's Las Vegas?
Okay, so first off, I'm gonna preface and say I'm from Canada,
isn't it?
It is Nevada.
Second thing, from Canada, and he knows. Oh.
Did you what's called? Did I'm assuming you grew up in the U.S. Education system? Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so one little joke that we have up here in good old Canada is how bad your guys' education system is of educating you guys on geology.
Geography.
Geography. Thank you. I was like, that's not the word. And what's it called? I think like the amount of times that I've talked to people and stuff like that and said like, oh, like yeah, like I'm from Canada. And they're like, oh yeah, well, and then their placement of where I am to them is just way off. And so I think geology is amazing. Thanks, Bradley. And what's it called? And so I think with like as far as that is that like you're East Coast. I know that. I'm not going to push any further from that information, but I know like I have an idea of where you are in a sense. But I think it's kind of scary because like I've been fortunate to kind of go around the world and have an idea of where I am. I might not be exactly like so for instance, I went to Florida recently, and recently I say that that was 2 years ago now because of COVID. But I went to Florida to Disney World recently and recently again.
That's awesome.
And what's it called? And I had we actually got bumped off a flight, and our flight we ended up getting bumped. Oh my god, it was like I ended up just kind of all together. I was flying in the air for about 21 hours, or like around transferring on flights and in airports for 21 hours. It was one of those experiences that drained me of all my energy, and I'm not kidding you. It took me about I feel like I'm still getting back to that kind of energy. That's how much I was drained from that experience. Like it was I have so much more respect for people who have to kind of like travel for business and fly a lot for business, because it was exhausting. And I was lucky that I got to do it on a sense where I got to do it for a vacation time, not as a personal or business time. But still, it was kind of quite a story. But the going back to that though, is I always knew where, like, in the States or in Canada I was, because of like my very basic knowledge of geology, or oh my god, geography. Yeah. Apparently I can't say words though, so that's a problem. What's it called? But I think with that is Bradley just giving me total shit in the chat. What's it called? Right? It's funny. I love how both of our mods are in here and just totally giving us the grills for every single thing we say.
Listen to me. They wouldn't be mods if they didn't.
Right? Just so you know, you have this kind of weird flashing thing going on in your window. I don't know if you've noticed that, but on your camera, it's in the background there. I think ever since you open your window, you get this kind of weird flash. I don't know if a car's going by or something like that. It's all good, maybe. but I've just noticed that you've gotten some sort of flash.
Actually, instead, I could turn the light on and close the blinds.
Like, yeah, either or. It's up to you. I just noticed you're getting some weird kind of flashing.
Oh yeah, it's probably the cars. Hold up.
All good. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's the adjustment of the thing. Sarah, welcome back. But yeah, yeah, no, Bradley said I think it's just the adjustment of the camera too. It might just be that too. But yeah, so I think let's go off a couple more questions here. Continue on, but yeah, no, that was it's funny. The question that was supposed to be the hard hitting question became kind of a funny, interesting question that kind of made into more conversation and stuff like that.
Right.
Which is kind of funny. It's like, hey, look at that. Let's see here. What do we got here? If your life was a movie, what would the title be and why? I mean, that could be dark, I guess, but.
Oh man. Old and in the way.
Terrible.
Old and in the way. It's funny too, because I make jokes about this all the fucking time. All the time. Dust. Thanks, Sarah. No, to get, I guess, kind of serious. I don't know, man. That's a damn good question. The chaotic adventures of a chubby, confused man. It's all over the place.
You're not selling this story for me.
I think. What?
I said you're not selling this story for me as good as it could be.
Say dust for mine. Oh, okay. I thought there's this long-standing joke. They all call me old. They know damn well I'm not actually old. But they all call me old, and then I made it worse because I had a birthday stream for. That one was.
I saw that.
Becca.
Or I heard about this. I haven't watched it, but I saw the VODs for it.
Yeah, we did birthday streams. So I gave her a birthday stream, which is the 8th. And then the 14th, Valentine's Day, was my birthday stream. And on her birthday stream, if we hit like a tip goal or whatever, I had to dye my hair silver. And it only made it worse. So now it's just a long-standing joke that I'm like the dad. And I'm old and in the way.
Donovan's giving you the smoke and the thing too. So, well, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I am 27. Very recently, 27.
You're
How old are
not
you?
old at
Don't mind
all.
me asking.
I am. Oh my god, I gotta think about this. I with COVID, my brain's like, did I age you or did I not? I'm 24, I think. I'm 1996, so I think that I'm pretty sure that's 24. Um,
There you go.
but this year, am I 24? Oh my god, I don't even know.
Oh,
I can't even. I
you either be
think I
24 or 25.
Well, I believe I'm okay. So I think I'm turning 25 this year then, because December is my birthday. Once you hit 21, it's just like like you know what I mean. Like
Oh, there you
it's one
go.
of
If
those
that
things.
was your
Like
birthday, yeah, yeah, yeah. You would be 24, turning 25 in December.
okay, so there you go. So yeah, so the that's so funny. I think yeah, exactly. Um,
Bring on
yeah,
the
no,
jokes.
you know
Come
what's
on, give it to
you,
him. He
you
did
know
it.
what's
He did it this
yeah,
time.
really. What's so funny is that the is your the I saw your the I don't know if it was I think it was a TikTok of Queen Deviant making a cake on your head. That
Yeah,
was probably the most creative and funny thing I've seen so long, because
good
I've seen people
times.
do like certain like sub goals and things like that, but like to make a cake and like the actual like the thought and the process of it all onto your head was the
Yeah.
funniest thing I have watched in a minute.
By the
So yeah,
way,
so that
egg
I thought that
yolk
was pretty
is
funny.
some of the hardest things to clean up off of a floor. Dude, it was slippery for like a week and a half. Nobody could walk over on that side of the room, or they'd bust their ass.
Yeah, for real though. Yeah, no, that's so funny though that you brought that up though with the age thing. Because I'm someone who like at my personal work, no one knows my age. Like, and if there's anyone watching from work, I've just exposed myself to how old I am, which
Oh
is totally
shit!
okay. Because now you're part of the community, you're part of the family, so better join that Discord because you're hooked in now. What's it called? But I think as far as the yeah, no, I use it's just kind of my whole thing is like, this is business. I'm here to work for a business. I'm not here to be your friend, in that sense, and that's kind of how I handle it for that.
Oh, totally.
But I think as far as the outside of that, this is me. This is This is kind of me personally. This isn't me. This isn't work Brendan, if you will. This is personal Brendan, and so I think in that sense, by all means, you can know my age. But I think there's a couple people who probably didn't
Oh
know
yeah.
exactly how old I was, but that's all right. Um, that I've gotten 30 before. I've gotten someone that thought I was 30 before. I was like,
Damn.
I mean, I will take many ages because I open myself up to that as soon as I don't tell people things. But really, are you like, okay, like
Yeah,
maybe I'm
no
mature
way.
enough for that, or something like that, but like,
If it's any
ouch.
consolation, if you would have asked me to guess, that is probably the exact age I would have said. Early 20s, 23, 24, maybe 25.
Yeah, and yeah, and I think that's perfectly said by Bradley in the chat. It's hard to ask or guess ages because it is hard, and I mean like that's the thing. As I said,
Yeah.
I never get mad at anyone who says that, but like it was one of those ones like. Like I opened myself for that like at least I haven't got any past 30 like thankfully yet, but I'm sure in the next few years and stuff like that, and especially if I keep that up with that work stuff like that, I'm sure I'm gonna get that age question again or something worse. Let's move on to another question here, and go on from this age question here. Um, Keeping on to something that's hopefully stays a little more lighter. What does love mean to you?
Um, what does love mean to me? Damn, Brian, you're good at this shit. Um, if I had to speak generally speaking, just all type, because obviously there's different types of love, right? Love
Of
in
course.
general is the inability to give up on somebody.
Okay.
In my opinion, put in its most simplest form, it is the inability to give up on somebody. Be that whether they're high maintenance, low maintenance, whatever the fuck, whatever it is they need, talk, day to day life necessities. If you know somebody and you're friends with somebody, and you kind of catch yourself like, damn, I'd be picking up that phone a lot for this person. I don't normally fucking, I hate phone calls or whatever it be. That's a
Hmm.
pretty telltale sign right there. The inability to give up on somebody. What about you?
So like I said, every one of these questions I pondered and thought about. This is one of the ones that it's a loaded question, right? And that's it. Like you said too, is it's not something that's it's not there's no it's hard to kind of put it in a box because there is so many different types of love. Like there's a different love that I have for my sister, who's actually in the stream. Hi, JR. There is like the love that I have for my girlfriend or my mom or my dog, like you know what I mean, like or something like that, like in senses like that. And I think that there's so many different things, but I think is the and I think this relates to what we have for the like right now is that connection and having that kind of built connection. And I think love doesn't just have to be generalized as someone that you're in like I don't know if a relationship's the right way or like a very close relationship. Like the ones I stated were people that are very close in my life. I think as far as like my friends, a lot of my really close friends that I play video games with too, if most of them know me, before I say goodnight, I always say love you to the homies. And I think that's one of those things that I've incorporated. That's it kind of started off as a kind of a little bit of a joke, but it came one of those things that is more important than anything. Is because I think you never know what day is going to be like your last day, and I'd rather have it knowing that the people as people knowing kind of where I stand and where I am with that. So I think as far as that, it doesn't really answer the question, but I think as far as the side of love and how it is, it's there's so many different sides of it and parts of it that could be said there. So yeah, I don't know if that's really answers the question, but gives a little bit of insight on how I think of love in a sense.
No, I think you did. I think you answered it better than I did.
It's all right. I mean, there's the thing with all these is I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, and that's what I like about these. Is they're so open ended that literally you can take them wherever you want, and that's the beauty of all these. And
True.
I mean, there's obviously the ones like the toilet paper over under one that you're kind of boxed in with, but
Jesus Christ, damn toilet paper.
Right. So there, by the way, I don't know if you saw when I asked you about what was your biggest regret in life. Someone, I think Donovan put not putting the toilet paper over, which I thought was hilarious. Was he the one in your stream that night that I came in and was talking to you on Discord, or was that someone else?
It is most likely that he was in there in the stream, for sure.
Oh yeah, because I know you said he was one of your best friends you've been forever, and that I think that's who you also described him as today too. So yeah, probably him. Okay.
If you're ever in stream and you see anybody typing anything edgy or one might consider toxic, that is either going to be Donovan or it's going to be Puma. I'm actually surprised Puma isn't here. She's going to hate missing. She's our local toxic.
I've met Puma and Puma and I actually kicked it off pretty well actually when I was in your stream and in the Discord too. Awesome. The short times. Next question for you. What helps you decompress? Like how do you let go and kind of relax, I guess would be the better way to put it too.
That's a very good question. With life as it is right now, with a kid and, trying to do something that people probably don't think, content creation as a whole, actually, I won't even say streaming, I'll say content creation as a whole, how much time and energy it actually takes away from you. I get in conversations all the time. Or, for example, I remember when I first started streaming, it was one of my longer ones. I think the stream lasted about 4.5 hours, which actually isn't like incredibly long. That's pretty typical, pretty average amount of time. There's some streamers that do 24-hour streams, 14-hour streams, whatever.
Crazy, right?
I came downstairs and it was like I just got off of a fucking 14-hour shift at the warehouse, man. I came down, walking down the steps like drained with my fucking head all fucking cocked back. I was so tired, and my fiance was like, "What the fuck is what's your problem? What's going on?" I was like, that is crazy how like draining it can be, because obviously to a certain extent, and obviously it's you want to be genuine. I think that's an art, especially in content creation, is remaining genuine. But to a certain extent, you have to put it on. You know what I mean? You're above all else, put simply, you're here to entertain. And so there's a very unique depletion you feel while streaming or just content creating, editing videos, constantly thinking of new ideas. And you always kind of feel like you could be doing something else. Like any break you get, you're like, man, I could really be filling this time with throwing up a tweet and making sure I hit the correct impression amount. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but gee, I went off on a tangent. To answer the question, what do I do to decompress? Often, sometimes now, it is streaming. If I've had like a chaotic day, looking forward to, hey, at least later tonight, I'm going to be able to jump on with my fucking Deviant family and get rocking out and hang out with everybody. But if it's kind of a casual day, there are some days that I look at this like a job because I would like to turn this into a full-time gig. And so sometimes streaming can be a little bit stressful. So if the stream doesn't work, it's anime. It is laying down with a bag of white cheddar popcorn and pigging out and throwing on some fucking anime.
It's not a bad outlet. It's a good one. Um, what's it called? So I think yeah no I that's my thing that I'm struggling with too is like I struggle with having um a kind of go to if that's the word for it is kind of like finding that way to let go and that's why I started this and I think
Yeah,
it's as I said I like I'm the type of person who strives to kind of live in that moment. I don't want to I want to stop thinking ahead so much because I think I do that too often and it's becoming to the point where it's not as healthy for me as it should be, if that makes sense.
man.
um so I think that part of it too is the is important and so finding that those things that don't tire you out and burn you out. And so like one of my recent things is and very like you is running into either Netflix or watching movies or YouTube or now Twitch streamers is kind of one of the things I found interesting and is kind of has become kind of a relaxing kind of state um for me in a sense and get being able to get me to let go and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be kind of mine in a sense in that kind of way. Yeah, I'm just
No, I could super relate to the I realized over the course of this, we'll call it an interview, that you've mentioned a few times about like living in the moment, and that's a huge deal for me. It's really, really difficult, and not to get, I know we're trying to get more light here, so I'll try to keep it as light as possible. But something I specifically struggle with is a pretty hefty dissociative disorder. Um,
okay.
it's called DPDR. It stands for depersonalization, derealization, and there's a bunch of ways you can that can kind of rear its ugly little head. But for me personally, the way that came about is unchecked anxiety, and so. Like I said, I had a bit of a rough time when we found out that my fiance was pregnant. I was really, really fucking, just to put it out bluntly, I was scared. Scared. I was terrified, and I was very anxious, and I allowed that to go unchecked for so long that eventually, basically, what happens is your brain kind of takes over, and to protect itself from what you're doing to it, meaning you're just constantly anxious. It flips a switch and it just kind of turns shit off. And it sounds wonderful, but the downside to that is you feel extremely, extremely, and I'm sparing on, ugly details here, but to put it lightly, it just disconnects you from both yourself and your surroundings. And so that is something I'm currently struggling with very, very hard, is being present, living in the moment. And
It's
not
hard. It's so hard.
thinking ahead. Yeah, man, it's super hard.
So it's something I focused on for probably about the last 2.5 years, or maybe 3 years, and it's so much easier said than done. Like so much easier said than
Mm-hmm.
done. Like it's really hard to get that kind of thing and um I don't know if are you a sports guy at all? Do you watch any sports much or an
It's
interest?
funny because my sponsors, Blue Collar Media, they are sports analysts. They do like
Yeah.
podcasts on baseball, basketball, football, and stuff. I know nothing. I know not a thing.
All good. It doesn't take too much. I'm assuming you've probably heard the name Michael Jordan before. the one of the best
Yes,
NBA
of
players
course.
in the entire world. So he had a
Is it?
documentary that came out on Netflix. Sorry,
Oh no, I said of
sorry.
course. Of course, I've heard of him.
Okay, oh, yeah. And so but he did a documentary. Oh my goodness, The Last Dance. And I'm a bit of a sports guy. My big thing is hockey. I am a big Vancouver Canucks fan. That's my team.
There you
Even
go.
though they were having a rough season to start, they're looking like they're turning it around, which is great. But as far as basketball, I'm not terribly into kind of what is everything in basketball. And if you were to tell me some names, there's some names I would get, but most for the most part, no. And I know the very basic knowledge of basketball. But I think Netflix and Michael Jordan's the documentary they did, The Last Dance, was so in depth and showed you who he is as a human. And one of the things that they touched on was about how good he was at staying present and staying in the moment. And there was a lot of time. There was very few times you would see him flutter out of that. And the times that he did was usually when he was having a bit of just the best word for it would be like some sort of breakdown in some sort of sense. So when family members passed away or when he lost a big championship and it was done, there's no coming back from it. Like there's no chance for that season to come back. But then he'd snap right back into it and he'd be right back in the moment again. And then the next season, and that's why he won those back to back, those three, I think they call it the three peats where he won so many championships. And I don't know if you guys haven't watched it. It's such an inspirational thing, and I watched it as they came out one by one. But even if you're not into sports, you really don't have to be. It's really about how he ticks, and I think they could. Netflix should. I really am hoping Netflix has more things like that. It doesn't even have to be someone like him. And there's also another series on Netflix too that I love too, which was called I think it was called Losers. Um, and it was about people how there's so many amazing people that were have lost and have failed in things, but their downfall have succeeded in some sense or another. They found another thing about them because of that failure, and it was just one of these weird kind of things, and that kind of relates back to our earlier question of are you scared of failure or success? Is that they hit the failure, they almost hit that rock bottom, but the bounce up was so much higher than anything that
Oh yeah.
it was worth it for them in that sense, and kind of tying it all back together. Um, but yeah, so the that's kind of that, and um, I think we're gonna have to roll into probably the last question here because I do have a little bit here, and I also have another guest here, but I don't want to let you off without this kind of one last question that does roll into kind of what we are saying, and if you can elaborate, that'd be great. I'm not going to cut you off. There's no huge rush or anything yet. But I do have a deep question for you. And like I said, you got to be back on here. There's no chance I can't get you back on here.
100%,
This
man.
is too interesting of
100%.
a conversations to not have you back. But have you feel like you've gotten closer to the meaning of life in the last 10 years?
Whoa. Um, See, that question is difficult because that question is difficult for me because I immediately go in two different directions. So there's the immediate part of me. You did it again with the question. I immediately thought of my daughter, and um, as hard as it can get sometimes, which is funny because often people, you're watching movies, you're watching TikToks, you're watching YouTube videos, and usually like with parenthood, they give you the best moments. So for like younger people, especially with like COVID going on, all stuck in their houses, it kind of sets these unrealistic expectations for parenthood. And then often when you're actually thrown into it, you don't know what to do about these feelings. You almost you feel guilty, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this thing? This isn't what they showed in the movie, or this isn't what they showed in these documentaries that I watch. But out of that comes one of the most honest to God rewarding fucking things any person can ever experience in their life, to a degree that is inexplainable. It is one of those things you have to experience. So when you say meaning, closer to meaning of life, one half of me immediately thinks of my daughter, and I want to give you a resounding yes. It is having offspring, and it is sharing beautiful moments with something you helped create half of, and watching them grow and seeing them pick up like the stupid little things that you say, it's fucking awesome. But there is another side of me that kind of battles with that thought, because I've always been the type of person that said there is no innate meaning to life. It's like this chaotic accident. This chaotic accident that you're here. And it's up to you to find a meaning you want to create for yourself. And I've always been very, very, very adamant about that. I'm not the type of person to believe, like in fate or fucking soulmates or that anything is written in stone anywhere. And that's what makes all of these things so beautiful, because it's not pre-written. You're doing it. You get credit for accomplishing that thing or finding meaning in seeing we'll use fucking Katy Perry as an example, like a plastic bag floating through the wind. You saw a fucking plastic bag. You said, holy
love the
shit.
quote.
She probably went right? Probably went on a 20 fucking minute deep dive into her brain on the meanings behind that plastic that she felt so weird about watching it flow in the wind, and found a connection there. Little things like that. So
totally.
Yeah, I know that isn't like a cemented answer to the question, but that's the two ways that I go with that.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Okay. I see it. Yeah. And I think as far as that is I think humans are a Donovan's giving you a shit. What's it called? I think as far as right. It's called is I think with life is we are creatures of education and learning, and how we're always going to learn, or at least I hope we always learn, because if we don't always learn, then it's going to be a pretty boring life. So I hope that's kind of what I keep striving to do, and that's what I also hope to do in these kind of things like this, is learn from people that might have different ideologies. And I'm waiting for the day that I have someone who's totally polar opposite of me that I can really rant with and banter with, and we can find some obviously common grounds, but also some places that we don't disagree with or don't agree with, and I think that'll be interesting as well. But I think as far as like the meaning of life, I mean, yeah, in a sense, I think I've gotten closer to it in the last 10 years. Am I done? Hell no. But I think it will be. I think it'll be definitely interesting to see. And I think like all the questions that we've asked today is I'm just getting closer and closer and closer to kind of that final form and getting to that. And I guess that would probably be one of my regrets is not being able to, is not learning enough. And that might not be something I can fulfill in my lifetime, and that's okay. But if I can leave some sort of legacy in a sense that that pushes people to kind of learn and build from that's enough for me. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit on me.
Oh yeah, so yeah, with that too.
All right, let's go. So I want to say thank you so much for taking your time. I appreciate it so much. I will definitely have you back here. I appreciate all of the Deviant Nation for coming in and hanging out. You're very welcome to stay. I hope that most of you guys stay and hang out. And we have 2 more guests coming on. We are going to hit a quick break in a second here, just to make sure all the mics are all set up and we're all good for the next person on the next guest. I have just recently switched over the command for Chad. So if you type in guest 1, that'll be Chad. If you want to find any of his socials and stuff like that, it will be on there. If you have anything for me, Chad, too, just send me a message in Discord right now, and I'll add it on here on this little break of any of the links if you need in there. If I missed anything there, I don't mind. I just realized I think I just messed up your chat link for, I think because I put the Deviant Nation, I think it all rolled into one here. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly edit that out, because that is good, there. It should be there now. There. So we're gonna jump into the next guest here. Are you streaming today?
Yes. Sure is. It's horror night tonight.
Shout it out. Tell me more about it here before you go. Anything you want to shout out, anything like that, you go for it. This is your time. You have at it.
Appreciate it. So first of all, before anything, just want to thank you specifically, Brandon, bring me on here. I love this fucking model. This feels fucking awesome. And really, really this isn't the type of thing I feel like if people say, for example, you come into somebody and you invite them on and they look up the stuff, I think you have this way about speaking and this way about you that if they were nervous and then watched you do it, they'd be like, what the fuck am I nervous about, man? This guy is so chill, so
Appreciate
fucking
it.
cool. Genuine. I appreciate it. But to be honest, I didn't even expect you to be plugging any of my stuff. What's up there is perfectly fine. If you guys want to come and check me out, I stream no, we're not every night anymore. Tuesday to Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I may end up bringing that back to 9 p.m. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we got Horror Night, and everybody in Deviant Nation, the family, they're gonna be real upset because it's 5:40. I haven't figured out which game I'm playing for Horror Night because we finished Little Nightmares 2 last time. So when I'm off here, I'm gonna go end up making some food and hitting up some YouTube to figure out what I can find on the Xbox Marketplace until I get that PC. But again, thank you so much, and chat, fucking thank you for showing up and fucking supporting this dude. He fucking knows what he's doing. Don't let him guess himself. He fucking knows what he's doing.
Appreciate it.